And
pray for me, guys.
nothing to it. Nothing to it. Just read the stage directions.
You don't need it.
You have a newbie.
Right.
And the only thing is, I said this to the early birds who got here early. Instead of taking our usual break after Act 3, we're going to take our break after Act 2, Scene 4, by which time 2/3 of the play will be done.
Okay.
It's a very long scene. Not the longest. The longest is Act 5, Love's Labor's Lost, which is about twice as long. Which, damn it, the Red Sox got it, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Let's see. So let's go around, introduce ourselves, where we're hailing from, and we'll start with Mary Lou. Mary Lou.
Yes.
Introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from. Who are you reading for?
You can hear me clearly?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Different planet.
So Mary Lou, who are you reading for and where are you coming from?
I'm reading Westmoreland and Gadskill and the Second Messenger.
I also have you down for Carrier.
Act 2, Scene 4, yes. The big one.
Where are you coming from? Mary Lou, where are you coming from? Where?
Introduce myself, or?
Yes, and where are you coming from?
Okay. Hi, my name is Mary Lou Garmon, and I'm playing Westmoreland and Gadskill and the Second Messenger.
And where are you situated?
I live in Cleveland.
Okay, Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Finger. I'm playing Mistress Quickly, First Carrier, First Traveler, Archbishop, and Lancaster. I am in Houston, Texas.
Oh.
Julia.
Yes, Shelia Spencer. I'm playing Falstaff and the First Messenger, and I reside in Queens, New York.
Ooh. Ted.
Hi, I'm Ted, and I'm playing the part of the King and the Second Carrier, and I'm here in Queens, New York.
Jeffrey.
Hi, this is my first time. Hello, everybody. I'm playing Coins, Ostler, Servant, and Sir Michael, and I'm situated in Brooklyn.
Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm in Long Beach, California, and I'm playing the Messenger, the Traveler, the Sheriff, the Vintner, and Glendower.
Angus.
Hi, Angus Hepburn. I'm in southeast London, and I am reading Bardolph, Francis, Worcester, and just added Hotspur.
Mona.
I am Mona Carrington. Hello, and I am from Claremont, California, and I am reading Lady Percy, Northumberland, Vernon, and the Chamberlain.
Ulysses.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ulysses from the Bushwick part of Brooklyn, New York. For the roles I'll be doing today, I'll be doing Sir Walter Blunt in Douglas. And Vincent, you also have me down as a second carrier also. So the times that Ed will be reading King, I'll take over second carrier. If that's the case, they're both in the scene at the same time.
Okay, because there are two carriers. Yes, so I'll have Ted I'll have you read second carrier, not Ted.
Okay.
So, do you just want me to read the King?
Yeah, I have you down as King and one of the Travelers. And Vintner.
Oh, so you changed it again. So I'm back to Vintner?
Wait, let me double check that. Hold on. I'll just...
The very last email is updated to second carrier and king.
Right. But then, let me see if it affects. Because then, now, Michael is not going to be with us. And I had him for first carrier, so that's where probably the confusion is. So, just bear with me a second.
Or if I need to, I could jump in first carrier as well, too, if necessary.
There are only two carriers.
Especially if there's a lot of people already got a lot of scenes.
Yeah, it's 10. I just want, just read just for King.
Just read king. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about all this. Yeah,
A worthy role, Ted. Bravo. I get to imitate you, so act funny, and I.
King's not funny.
Well, I'll make him funny. Give me some work with here.
Things are funny. They just don't know it. Nobody tells them.
But very funny.
So, we now hand the play over to Sheila.
Oh, wait a minute, I didn't introduce myself yet.
I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm sorry, Miss Brennan.
Yes, I am Brennan Walker, and I'm coming from Harlem, New York. And I'm reading the roles of Mortimer, Pepco, and Beef.
Okay, so without further ado, Julia.
Okay, I'm getting off video, so we can start with the people who are in the play in the first act. And here we go. The first part of King Henry IV, Act 1, Scene 1, London, the Palace. Enter King Henry, Lord John of Lancaster, the Earl of Westmoreland, and Sir Walter Blunt.
So shaken as we are, so wan with care, find we a time for plighted peace, to pant and breathe short-winded accents of new broils, to be commenced in strands afar remote. No more the thirsty entrance of this soil shall daub her lips with her own children's blood. No more shall trenching war channel her fields, nor bruise her flowerets with the armed hoofs of hostile paces. Those opposed eyes which, like the meteors of a troubled heaven, all of one nature, of one substance bred, did lately meet in the intestine shock and furious close of civil butchery, shall now, in mutual well-beseeming ranks, march all one way, and be no more opposed against acquaintance, kindred, and allies. The edge of war, like an ill-sheathed knife, no more shall cut his master. Therefore, friends, as far as to the sepulchre of Christ, who soldier now, under whose blessed cross we are impressed and engaged to fight, forthwith a power of English shall we levy, whose arms were molded in their mother's womb to chase these pagans in those holy fields, over whose acres walked those blessed feet, which 1400 years ago were nailed for our advantage on the bitter cross. But this is our purpose now, is 12-month-old, and bootless tis to tell you we will go. Therefore we meet not now. Let me hear of you, my gentle cousin Westmoreland, what yesternight our council did decree in forwarding this dear expedience.
On my liege, the haste was hot in question, and at many limits of the charge set down. But yesternight, when all athwart there came a post from Wales, loaded with heavy news, whose worst was that the noble Mortimer leaded the men of Herefordshire to fight against the irregular and wild Glendower, was by rude hands of that Westman taken, 1,000 of his people butchered. Upon those dead corpses there was such misuse, such beastly, shameless transformation by those Welshmen done, as may not be without much shame retold or spoken.
Seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land.
This march with others did, my gracious lord. Far more and even and unwelcome news came from the north. And thus it did import on Holyrood Day, the gallant Hotspur there, young Harry Percy, and the grave Archibald that ever rhymed and approved Scott, at Holmdon met, where they were spent a sad and bloodly hour, as by discharge of their artillery, in shape of likelihood the news was told, for he that brought them in the very heat and the pride of their contention did take horse, uncertain of the issue anyway.
Here is a dear, a true industrious friend, Sir Walter Blunt, new lighted from his horse, stained with the variation of each soil betwixt that Holmdon and this seat of ours. And he hath brought us smooth and welcome news. The Earl of Douglas is discomfited. 10,000 bold Scots, 22 knights, balked in their own blood, did Sir Walter see on Holmdon's plains. Of prisoners Hotspur took Mordache, Earl of Fife, and eldest son, to beaten Douglas, and the Earl of Athol, of Murray, Angus, and Menteith. And is this not an honorable spoil? A gallant prize? Ha, cousin, is it not?
I faith it is a conquest for the prince to boast of.
Yea, there thou makest me sad, and makest me sin in envy that my lord Northumberland should be the father to so blessed a son, the son who is the theme of honor's tongue, amongst a grove the very straightest plant, who is the sweet fortune's minion and her pride, whilst I, by looking on the praise of him, see riot and dishonor stain the brow of my young Harry. Oh, that it could be proved that some night-tripping fairy had exchanged in cradle clothes our children where they lay, and called mine Percy, and his Plantagenet. Then would I have his Harry, and he mine. But let him from my thoughts. What think you, cuz, of this young Percy's pride? The prisoners which he in this adventure hath surprised, to his own use he keeps, and sends me word I shall have none but Mordache, Earl of Fife.
This is his uncle's teaching, and it is Worcester malevolent to you in all aspects, which makes him prune himself and bristle up the crest of youth against your dignity.
But I have sent for him to answer this, and for this cause a while we must neglect our holy purpose to Jerusalem. Cousin, on Wednesday next, our council we will hold at Windsor. So inform the lords. But come yourself with speed to us again, for more is to be said and to be done than out of anger can be uttered.
I will, my liege.
Exit all. Act 1, Scene 2. London, an apartment of the princes. Enter the Prince of Wales and Falstaff. Now, Hal, what time of day is it, lad?
Thou art so fat-witted, with the drinking of old sack, with unbuttoning thyself afternoon, with sleeping upon park benches, that thou hast forgotten to demand what truly thou wouldst truly know. What hast thou to do with the time of day? Unless hours were capons, minutes were cups of sack, clocks the tongues of bards, dials the signs of leaping houses, and the very blessed sun himself, a fair hot wench in red-colored taffeta. I see no reason why thou should be so superfluous as to demand the time of day.
Ah, indeed, you come near me now, Hal, for we that take purses go by the moon and the 7 stars, and not by Phoebus, he that wandering night so fair. Ay, pretty sweet wag, when thou art king, as God save thy grace, majesty, I should say, for grace thou wilt have none.
What none?
Not by my troth, not so much as will serve the prologue to an egg and butter.
Well then, come roundly.
Marry then, sweet wag, when thou art king, let not us that are squires of the night's body be called thieves of the day's beauty. Let us be Diana's foresters, gentlemen of the shade, minions of the moon, and let men say we be men of good government, being governed as the sea is by our noble and chaste mistress, the moon, under whose countenance we steal.
Thou sayest well, and it holds well too that the fortunes of those of us who are the moon's men are governed as the sea is by the moon. As proof now, a purse of gold, resolutely stolen on Monday nights and desolately spent on Tuesday morning, got by saying buy lay and spent by crying bring in. Now that is as high an ebb as that is as low an ebb as the foot of a ladder, and by as high a flow as the ridge of the gallows.
Ah, by the Lord, thou sayest true, lad. And is not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench?
By the honeys of Hybla. And is not a leather jerkin a sweet robe of durance?
Oh, now, how now, mad wag? What, in thy quips and thy quiddities, what a plague have I to do with a buff jerkin?
By what a pox, what have I to do with my sweet hostess of the tavern?
Well, thou hast called her to a reckoning many a time and oft.
Did I ever ask to call thee to pay thy part?
No, I'll give thee thy due. Thou hast paid all there.
I, here and elsewhere, so far as my coin could stretch, and where it would not, I have used my credit.
Yes, and so used to it that were it not here apparent that thou art heir apparent, but I prithee, sweet wag, shall there be gallows standing in England when thou art king? And resolution thus fobbed as it is with the rusty curb of old father antic, the law. Do not thou, when thou art king, hang a thief.
No, thou shalt.
Shall I? Rare, by the Lord. I'll be a brave judge.
Ah, thou misjudgest already. What I meant when thou wilt have the hanging of thieves, and therefore be a rare hangman.
Well, how? Well, and in some sort it jumps with my humor as well as waiting in the court, I can tell you.
For obtaining of suits?
Well, yes, for obtaining of suits, whereof the hangman hath no lean wardrobe. Splud, I am as melancholy as a gib cat or a lugged bear.
Or an old lion, or a... or an old lion.
Or a lover's lute.
or a lover's lute.
Or the drone of a Lincolnshire bagpipe.
What sayest thou to a hare or the melancholy mortgage?
Thou hast the most unsavory similes, and art indeed the most comparative, rascaliest, sweet young prince. But how, I prithee, trouble me no more with vanity. I would to God thou and I knew where a commodity of good names were to be bought. An old lord of the council rated me the other day in the street about you, sir, but I marked him not. And yet he talked very wisely, but I regarded him not. And yet he talked wisely, and in the street, too.
Thou didst well, for wisdom doth cry in the streets, yet no man regards it.
Oh, thou hast damnable iteration, and art indeed able to corrupt a saint. Thou hast done much harm upon me, Hal. I'd forgive thee for it. Before I knew thee, Hal, I knew nothing. And now am I, if a man should speak truly, a little better than one of the wicked. I must give over this life, and I will give it over. I, the Lord, and if I do not, I'm a villain. I'll be damned for never a king's son in Christendom.
Where shall we take a purse tomorrow, Jack?
Zounds! Where thou wilt, lad. I'll make one, if I do not call me a villain and baffle me.
I see a good amendment of life in thee, from prayer to purse taker.
Well, 'tis my vocation now. 'Tis no sin for a man to labor in his vocation. Hans! 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 Now, shall we know if Gad's Hill have set a match? Oh, if men were to be saved by merit, what hole in hell were hot enough for him? This is the most omnipotent villain that ever cried stand to a true man.
Good morrow, Ned.
Good morrow, Ned.
Oh, sorry. Good morrow, Ned, sweet Hal. What says Monsieur Remorse? What says Sir Jack and Sugar? Jack, how agrees the devil and thee about thy soul, and that thou sowedst him on Good Friday last for a cup of Madeira, a cold capon's leg?
So John stands at his word. He will give the devil the devil shall have his bargain, for he is yet a breaker of proverbs. He will give the devil his due.
Hans. Thou art damned for keeping thy words with the devil.
Lest he be, or else he be damned for cousining the devil. Coins? Jeffrey?
I'm sorry. I lost my place. I'm sorry.
But my lads,
Line 130.
My lads. I'm sorry, I lost it.
I'll jump in real quick. But it's line 130. That's where we're taking it from. But my lads, tomorrow morning by 4 o'clock early at Gad's Hill, there are pilgrims going to Canterbury with rich offerings.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right into London.
All right, sorry. But my lads, tomorrow morning by 4 o'clock early at Gad's Hill, there are pilgrims going to Canterbury with rich offerings and traders riding to London with fat purses. I have visitors for you all. You have horses for yourselves. Gad's Hill lies tonight in Rochester. I have bespoke supper tomorrow night in Eastchap. We may do it as secure as sleep. If you will go, I will stuff your purses full of crowns. If you will not, tarry at home and be hanged.
Yea, Edward, if I tarry at home and go not, I'll hang you for going.
You will, Chops?
Hal, wilt thou make one?
What? I rob? I a thief? No, by my faith.
Ah, there's neither honesty, manhood, nor good fellowship in thee. Nor thou camest not of the blood royal if thou darest not stand for 10 shillings.
Well, once in my days, I'll be a madcap.
That's well said.
Oh, when come what will, I'll tarry home.
Ah, by the Lord, I'll be a traitor then when thou art king.
I care not.
Sir John, I prithee, leave the prince and me alone. I will lay him down such reasons for this adventure that he shall go.
Well, God give thee the spirit of persuasion, and him the ears of profiting, that what thou speakest may move, and what he hears may be believed, that the true prince may, for recreation's sake, prove a false thief. For the poor abuses of the time want countenance. Farewell. You shall find me in Eastcheap.
Farewell, Layton's spring. Farewell, All Hallows summer.
Excellent.
Now, my good, sweet honey lord, ride with us tomorrow. I have a jest to execute, and I cannot manage alone. Falstaff, Pato, Bardolph, and Gatchel shall rob these men that we have already waylaid. You yourself will not be there, and when they have the booty, if you and I do not rob them, cut this head off from my shoulders.
How shall we part from them in setting forth?
Why, we shall set forth before or after them, and appoint them a place of meeting, wherein is it our pleasure to fail, and then they will adventure upon they exploit themselves, which they shall have no sooner achieved, but will set upon them.
Yea, 'tis like they will know us by our horses, by our manners, by our habits, and by every other appointment to be ourselves.
Tut, our horses they shall not see. I'll tie them in the wood. Our visage we will change after we leave them. And, sirrah, I have cases of buckram for the nonce to unmask our noted outward garments.
Yea, 'tis like I doubt they will be too hard for us.
Well, for two of them, I know them to be as true-bred as cowards as ever turn back. And for the third, if he fight longer than he sees reason, I'll forswear arms. The virtue of this jest will be the incomprehensible lies this same fat rogue will tell us when we meet at supper. How 30 at least he fought with, what wards, what blows, what extremities he endured, and the reproof of this lies jest.
I will go with you. Provide all that is necessary and meet me tomorrow night in Eastcheap. There I'll sup. So
farewell, my lord.
Exit points.
I know you all, and will a while hold the unyoked humor of your idleness. Herein I will imitate the sun that who doth permit the base and contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from the world, that when he pleased to be seen, being wanted, he may be wondered at more by breaking through the foul and ugly mists of vapor that did strangle him. If all the year were playing holidays, to play would be as tedious as to work. But when they seldom come, they wish for come. And nothing pleases as happy surprises, as rare accidents. So in this loose behavior I throw off and pay the debt I never promised, but how much better than my word I shall be. But how I shall falsify men's hopes. And like a bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation glittering o'er my faults will see more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no flint to set it off. So I will offend to make offense a skill, redeeming my time when men think least I will.
Exit. End of the scene. Moving on. Act 1, Scene 3. London, the palace. Enter the king, Chamberlain, Worcester, Hotspur, Sir Walter Blunt.
My blood hath been too cold and temperate and apt to stir at these indignities, and you have found me, for accordingly you tread upon my patience. But be sure I will from henceforth rather be myself, mighty and to be feared, than my condition, which hath been smooth as oil, soft as young down, and therefore lost that title of respect which the proud soul ne'er pays but to the proud.
Our house, my sovereign liege, little deserves the scourge of greatness to be used on it, and that same greatness too, which our own hands will hope to make so portly.
My lord,
Worcester, get thee gone, for I do see danger and disobedience in thine eye. Oh, sir, your presence is too bold and peremptory, and majesty might never yet endure the moody frontier of a servant brow. You have good leave to leave us. When we need your use and counsel, we shall send for you.
That's at Worcester.
You were about to speak?
Yea,
Yes,
my good lord. Those prisoners in your highness' name demanded, which Harry Percy, whoops, my script flipped, which Harry Percy here at Holmdon took. For as he said, not with such strength denied as is delivered to your majesty, either envy therefore or misprision is guilty of this fault, and not my son.
My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped, showed like a stubble land at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner, and twixt his finger and his thumb he held a pouncet box, which ever and anon he gave his nose, and took away again. Who therewith angry, when it next came there, took it in snuff, and still he smiled and talked, and as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly to bring a slovenly, unhandsome course betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms he questioned me, amongst the rest demanded my prisoners in your majesty's behalf. I then, all smarting with my wounds being cold, to be so pestered with a popinjay out of my grief and my impatience, answered neglectingly, I know not what. He should or he should not, for he made me mad to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet, and talk so like a waiting gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds. God save the mark! And telling me the sovereignest thing on earth was pharmacety for an inward bruise. That it was great pity, so it was, the villainous saltpeter should be digged out of the bowels of the harmless earth, which many a good tall fellow had destroyed, so cowardly. And but for these vile guns, he would himself have been a soldier. This bald, unjointed chat of his, my lord, I answered indirectly, as I said. And I beseech you, let not his report come current for an accusation betwixt my love and your high majesty.
The circumstance considered good, my lord. Whatever Lord Harry Percy then has said to such a person in such a place, at such a time, with all the rest be told. May he reasonably die and never rise to do him wrong or any way impeach. What then he said, so he unsay it now.
Why, yet he doth deny his prisoners, but with proviso and exception that we at our own charge shall ransom straight his brother-in-law, the foolish Mortimer, who on my soul hath willfully betrayed the lives of those that he did lead to fight against that great magician, damned Glendower, whose daughter, as we hear, that Earl of March hath lately married. Shall our coffers then be empty to redeem a traitor home? Shall we buy treason and indent with fears when they have lost and forfeited themselves? No, on the barren mountains let him starve, for I shall never hold that man my friend, whose tongue shall ask me for 1 penny cost to ransom home revolted Mortimer.
Revolted Mortimer? He never did fall off, my sovereign liege, but by the chance of war. To prove that true needs no more but 1 tongue for all those wounds, those mouthed wounds which valiantly he took when on the gentle Severn, sedgy bank in single opposition hand to hand he did confound the best part of an hour in charging hardyman with great Glendower. 3 times they breed, and 3 times did they drink upon agreement with swift Severn's flood, who then affrighted with their bloody looks, ran fearfully among the trembling reeds, and hid his crisp head in the hollow bank. Blood-stained with these valiant combatants, never did bare and rotten policy colour her working with such deadly wounds, nor never could the noble Mortimer receive so many, and all willingly, then not let him be slandered with revolt.
No, thou dost belie him, Percy, thou dost belie him. He never did encounter with Glendower. I tell thee, he durst as well have met the devil alone as Owen Glendower for an enemy. Art thou not ashamed? But, sirrah, henceforth let me not hear you speak of Mortimer. Send me your prisoners with the speediest means, or you shall hear in such a kind from me as will displease you. My lord Northumberland, we license your departure with your son. Send us your prisoners, or you will hear it.
Exit King Henry, Blunt, and their train.
Devil come and roar for them, I will not send them. I will after straight and tell him so, for I will ease my heart, or beard I make a hazard of my head.
What, drunk with choler? Stay and pause a while. Here comes your uncle.
Re-enter Worcester.
Speak up, Mortimer. Soon I will speak of him, and let my soul want mercy if I do not join with him. Yea, on his part I'll empty all these veins, and shed my dear blood, drop by drop, in the dust. And I will live the downtrod Mortimer, as high in the air as this unthankful king, as this ingrate and cankered Bolingbroke.
Brother, the king hath made your nephew mad.
Who struck his heat up after I was gone? He will forsooth have all my prisoners. And when I urged the ransom once again of my wife's brother, then his cheek looked pale, and on my face he turned an eye of death, trembling even at the name of Mortimer. I cannot blame him. Was he not proclaimed by Richard that dead is the next of blood?
He was. I heard the proclamation. And then it was when the unhappy king, whose wrongs in us God pardoned, did set forth upon his Irish expedition, from whence he intercepted did return, to be deposed and shortly murdered.
And for whose death we in the world's wide mouth live scandalized and foully spoken of. But soft, I pray you, did King Richard then proclaim my brother Edward Mortimer heir to the crown?
He did. Myself did hear it.
Nay, then I cannot blame his cousin king that wished him on the barren mountain starve. But shall it be that you, that set the crown upon the head of this forgetful man, and for his sake wear the detested blot of murderous subornation, shall it be that you, a world of curses, undergo, being the agents or base second means, the cords, the ladder, or the hangman rather? Oh, pardon me that I descend so low to show the line and the predicament wherein you range under this subtle king. For it shall shame be spoken. Shall it for shame be spoken in these days, or fill up chronicles in time to come, that men of your nobility and power did gauge them both in an unjust behalf, as both of you, God pardon it, have done, to put down Richard, that sweet, lovely rose, and plant this thorn, this canker Bolingbroke? And shall it more shame be further spoken, that you are fooled, discarded, and shook off by him for whom these shames you underwent? No, yet time serves wherein you may redeem your banished honours and restore yourselves into the good thoughts of the world again. Revenge the jeering and disdained contempt of this proud king, who studies day and night to answer all the debt he owes to you, even with the bloody payment of your debts. Therefore I say, peace, cousin, say no more. And now I will unclasp a secret book, and to your quick conceiving discontents I'll read you matter deep and dangerous, as full of peril and adventurous spirit as to all walk a current roaring loud on the unsteadfast footing of a spear. If he fall in, good night, or sink or swim, send danger from the east unto the west, So honour cross it from the north to south and let them grapple. Oh, the blood more stirs to rouse a lion than to start a hare.
Imagination of some great exploit drives him beyond the bounds of patience.
He thinks it were an easy leap to pluck bright honour from the pale-faced moon, or dive into the bottom of the deep, where fathom line could never touch the ground, and pluck up drowned honour by the locks, so that he doth redeem her thence, might wear with Corrival all her dignities, but out upon this half-faced fellowship.
I'll read Wooster and the rest of the scene.
Gotcha.
Angus. He apprehends a world of figures here, but not the form of what he should attend. Good cousin, give me audience for a while.
I cry you mercy.
Those same noble Scots that are your prisoners.
I'll keep them all. By God, he shall not have a Scot of them. No, if a Scot would save his soul, he shall not. I'll keep them by this hand.
You start away and lend no ear unto my purposes. Those prisoners you shall keep.
Nay, I will, that's flat. He said he would not ransom Mortimer, forbade my tongue to speak of Mortimer, but I will find him when he lies asleep, and in his ear I'll hollow Mortimer. Nay, I'll have a starling shall be taught to speak nothing but Mortimer, and give it him to keep his anger still in motion.
Hear you, cousin, a word.
All studies here I solemnly defy, save how to gall and pinch this Bolingbroke with that same sword and buckler, Prince of Wales. But that I think his father loves him not, and would be glad he met with some mischance, I would have poisoned him with a pot of ale.
Farewell, kinsman, I'll talk to you when you are better tempered to attend.
Why, what a wasp-stung and impatient fool! Art thou to break into this woman's mood, tying thy ear to no tongue but thine own?
Why, look you, I am whipped and scourged with rods, nettled and stung with pismires, when I hear of this vile politician Bolingbroke. In Richard's name, what do you call this place? A plague upon it. It is in Gloucestershire. 'Twas where the madcap Duke, his uncle, kept his uncle York, where I first bowed my knee unto this king of smiles, this Bolingbroke. Blood, when you and he came back from Ravensburg.
At Berkeley's castle.
You say true. Why, what a canny deal of courtesy this fawning greyhound then did proffer me. Look, when his infant fortune came to age, and gentle Harry Percy, and kind cousin, oh, the devil take such cousiners, God forgive me. Good uncle, tell your tale, I have done.
Nay, if you have not, to it again, we will stay your leisure.
I have done, i' faith.
Then once more to your Scottish prisoners, deliver them up without their ransom straight, and to make the Douglas's son your only need of powers in Scotland, which, for divers reasons, which I shall send you written, be assured, will easily be granted. You, my lord, your son in Scotland being thus employed, shall secretly into the bosom creep of that same noble prelate, well beloved, the Archbishop.
Of York, is it not?
True, who bears hard his brother's death at Bristol, the Lord Scroop. I speak not this in estimation, as what I think might be, but what I know is ruminated, plotted, and set down, and only stays but to behold the face of that occasion that shall bring it on.
I smell it. Upon my life, it will do well.
Before the game is afoot, thou still let's slip.
Why, it cannot choose but be a noble plot, and in the power of Scotland and of York to join with Mortimer.
Why, so they shall.
In fact, it is exceedingly well aimed.
And 'tis no little reasons bids us speed to save our heads by raising of a head. Forbear ourselves as even as we can. The king will always think him in our debt, and we think ourselves unsatisfied, till he hath found a time to pay us home, and see already how he doth begin to make us strangers to his looks of love.
He does. Will be revenged. avenged on him.
Doesn't farewell, no further go in this, then I by letters shall direct your course. When time is ripe, which will be suddenly, I'll steal to Glendower and Lord Mortimer, where you and Douglas and our powers at once, as I will fashion it, shall happily meet to bear our fortunes in our own strong arms, which now we hold at much uncertainty.
Farewell, good brother. We shall thrive, I trust.
Uncle, adieu. Let the hours be short, till fields and blows and groans applaud our sport.
Exit all. Act 2, Scene 1. Rochester, an inn yard. Enter a carrier with a lantern in his hand.
Oh, and a not before by the day I'll be hanged. Charles Lane is over the new chimney, and yet of course not packed. What, Osler?
Anon.
Hey, pretty Tom, beat cut saddle. Put a few flocks in the point. Poor Jade is wrunging the withers out of all set.
Enter another carrier.
Peas and beans are as dark here as a dog, and that is the next way to get poor Jays the box. This house is turned upside down since Robin, other Osler, died.
Poor fellow never joyed since the price of oats rose. It was the death of him.
I think this be the most villainous house in all London road for fleet. I am stung like a tinge.
Like a tench? By the mass, there's ne'er a King Crescent could be better bit than I have been since the first cock.
Why, they will allow us near a Jordan, and then we leak in your chimney, and your chamberlain breathes fleas like a loach.
What, Osler? Come away and be hanged. Come away.
I have a gamut of bacon and 2 races of ginger to be delivered as far as Charing Cross.
God's body, the Turk eats in my pannier, quite starved. What, Osler? A plague on thee! Hast thou never an eye in thy head? Canst thou hear? And 'twere not as good deed as drink to break the pain on thee. I am a very villain. Come and be hanged. Hast no faith in me?
Enter Gadshill.
Good morning, Morrow carriers. What o'clock?
I think it be 2 o'clock.
I prithee, lend me thy lantern to see my gelding in the stable.
Nay, by God, soft. I know a trick worth 2 of that of faith.
I prithee, lend me thine.
Aye, when canst thou lend me thy lantern? Quoth he, marry, I'll see thee anglers.
Sirrah carrier, what time do you mean to come to London?
Time enough to go to bed with a candle, I warrant thee. Come, neighbor monks, we'll catch up, call up the gentlemen. They will along with company, for they have great charge.
Exit carriers.
What ho, Chamberlain?
At hand, quoth Quick Purse.
That's even as fair as at hand, quoth the Chamberlain. For thou hast various no more from picking of purses than giving direction doth from laboring thou layest a plot how.
Good morrow, Master Gadshill. It holds current that I told you yesternight. There's a Franklin in the wild of Kent has brought 300 marks with him in gold. I heard him tell it to one of his company last night at supper, a kind of auditor, one that hath abundance of charge, too. God knows what. They are up already and call for eggs and butter. They will away presently.
Sirrah, if they meet not with St. Nicholas clerks, I'll give thee neck. I'll give this
No.
neck.
No, I'll none of it. I pray thee keep that for the hangman, for I know thou worshipest St. Nicholas as truly as a man of falsehood may.
What talkest thou to me of the hangman? If I hang, I will make a fat pair of the gallows, for if I hang, old Sir John hangs with me, and thou knowest he is no starveling. Tooth, there are other Trojans that thou dreamest not of, which will sport's sake are content to do professions of grace, that would, if it mattered, be looked into for their own credit's sake, to make all whole. I am joined with no footland rakers, no long staff, sick penny strikers, none of these mad mustachioed, purple-headed mateworms, but with nobility, tranquility, burgomasters and great onions, such as can hold in, such as will strike no sooner than speak, and speak sooner than drink, and drink sooner than pray. And yet zones are live, I pray continually to their saint, the Commonwealth, or rather not pray to her, but pray on her, for they ride up and down on her, made of their boots.
What? The Commonwealth their boots? Will she hold out water in foul way?
Oh, she will. Justice hath liquored her. Will steal as in a castle cocksure. Will have receipt of fern seed, and will walk invisible.
Nay, by my faith, I think you are more beholding to the night than the fern seed, for you're walking invisible.
Give me thy hand. Thou shalt have a share in our purchase, as I am a true man.
Nay, rather let me have it, as you are a false thief.
Go to. Homo is a common name to all men. Bid the ostler bring my gelding out of the stable. Fare you well, muddy knave.
That's it all. Act 2, Scene 2, the highway near Gad's Hill. Enter Prince Henry and Poins.
Come, shelter, shelter. I have removed Falstaff's horse, and he frets like a gummed velvet.
Stand close.
Enter Falstaff. Poins! Poins and be hanged! Poins!
No, peace, you fat-kidneyed rascal. What a brawling thou keeps.
Where's Poins, Hal?
He walked to the top of the hill. I will go seek him.
I am accursed to rob in that thief's company. The rascal hath removed my horse and tied him I know not where. If I travel before afoot by a squire further afoot, I shall break my wind. I doubt not but to die a fair death for all this if I escape hanging for killing that rogue. I have forsworn his company hourly any time this 22 years, and yet I'm bewitched with that rogue's company. If the rascal had not given me medicines to make me love him, I'll be hanged. Could not be else. I have drunk medicines. Poins! A plague upon you both! Bardolph, Peto! I'll starve, ere I rob a foot further, and 'twere not as good a deed as drink to turn true man and leave these roads. I am the veriest varlet that ever chewed with a tooth. 8 yards of uneven ground is 70 miles afoot with me, and the stony-hearted villains know it well enough. A plague upon it when thieves cannot be true to one another! A plague upon you all! Give me my horse, you rogues! Give me my horse and be hanged!
Peace, you fat guts. Lie down, lay thine ear upon the ground, and see if thou canst hear the tread of travelers.
Have you not any levers to lift me up again? Being down? It's blood. I'll not bear mine own flesh so far afoot again, for all the coin in thy father's exchequer. What a plague me to colt me thus?
Thou liest, thou art not colted, thou art uncolted.
Prithee, good Prince Hal, help me to my horse, good King's son.
Away, you rascal, you rogue. Shall I be your ostler?
Oh, go hang thyself in thine own air, parent garters, if I be ta'en, and I'll peach for this. And I have not ballads made on you all, and sound of filthy tunes. Let a cup of sack be my poison when a jest is so forward and a foot too. I hate it. And her Gadshill, Bardolph, and Peto.
Stand!
So I do against my will.
Oh, 'tis our setter. I knew his voice.
What
Bardolph,
news?
What news?
Cashew, on with your visitors. There's money of the king's coming down the hill. 'Tis going to the king's exchequer.
You lie, you rogue! 'Tis gone to the king's tavern.
That's enough to make us all.
To be hanged.
Sirs, you four shall front them in the narrowest lane. Poins and I shall walk below. If they escape your encounter, then they light on us.
Will there be a bib?
Some 8 or 10.
Oh, zounds. Will they not rob us?
What? A coward, Sir John Punch?
Indeed, I am not John Gaunt, your grandfather. But yet no coward, Hal.
We will leave that to the proof.
Sirrah, Jack, thy horse stands behind the hedge. When thou needest him, there thou shalt find him. Farewell, and stand fast.
I cannot strike him if I should be hanged.
Ned, where are our disguises?
Here, hard by, stand close.
Exit Brenton Ponds. Now, my masters, happy man be his doles, say I. Every man to his business. Enter the travelers.
Come, neighbor, the boy shall lead our horses down the hill. We'll walk afoot a while and ease our legs. Ah, Jesus bless us!
Straight down with him! Cut the villain's throat! Some caterpillars, bacon-fed knaves. They hate us, youth. Down with them! Fleece them!
Oh, we are undone! Both we and ours forever!
Hang ye, door-bellied knaves! Are ye undone? Oh, ye fat chuffs! I would your store were here, and bacon's on! What? Ye knaves? Young and must live! You are grand jurors, are ye? Well, we'll jury you in faith. Ha ha! Rob them and bind them. Exit. Re-enter Hans and Prince Henry.
The thieves have bound the true man. Now could thou and I go merrily to England? Could rob the thieves and go merrily to England, where it will be a argument for a week, laughter for a month, and a good jest forever.
Stand close, I hear them coming.
Enter thieves again. Come, my masters, let us share, and then to horse before day, and the prince and Poins be not too errant cowards. There's no equity stirring, there's no more valor in that Poins than in a wild duck.
No money.
Villains!
If they are sharing the prince and Poins set upon them, they all run away, and Falstaff, after a blow or two, runs away, leaving the booty behind him.
Not with much ease. Now, merrily the horse. The thieves are scattered, so possessed with fear they dare not meet each other. Each takes one for an officer. Away, go, Ned. Falstaff sweats to death, enlarge the earth as he walks along. Were it not for laughing, I should pity him.
How the fat rogue warned!
Exit all. Act 2. Scene 3, Warworth Castle. Enter Hotspur, Solus, reading a letter.
But for my own part, my lord, I could be well contented to be there in respect of the love I bear your house. He could be contented. Why is he not then? In respect of the love he bears our house, he shows in this he loves his own barn better than he loves our house. This is all. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. Well, no, that's for certain. It is dangerous to take a cold, to sleep, to drink. But I tell you, my lord fool, out of this nettle, danger, we pluck this flower, safety. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. The friends you have named uncertain, the time itself unsorted, and your whole plot too light for the counterpoise of so great an opposition. Oh, say you so? Say you so? I say unto you again, you are a shallow, cowardly hind, and you lie. Lack brain is this. By the Lord, our plot is a good plot as ever was laid. Our friends, true and constant, a good plot, good friends, and full of expectation. An excellent plot, very good friends. What a frosty-spirited rogue is this. By my Lord of York commends the plot and the general course of the action. Zounds, and I were now by this rascal, I could brain him with his lady's fan. Is there not my father, my uncle, and myself, Lord Edmund Mortimer, my Lord of York, and Owen Glendower? Is there not beside the Douglas? Have I not all their letters to meet me in arms by the 9th of the next month? And are they not some of them set forward already? Oh, what a pagan rascal is this, an infidel. Here you shall see now, in very sincerity of fear and cold heart, will he to the king and lay open all our proceedings. Oh, I could divide myself and go to buffets for moving such a dish of skim milk with so honourable an action. Hang him! Let him kill the king. We're prepared. I will set forward tonight.
Enter Lady Percy.
Now, Kate, I must leave you within these 2 hours.
Oh, my good lord, why are you thus alone? For what offense have I this fortnight been a banished woman from my Harry's bed? Tell me, dear lord, what is it that takes from thee thy stomach, pleasure, and thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thy eyes upon the earth, and start so often when thou sitst alone? Why hast thou lost the fresh blood in thy cheeks, and given thy treasures and thy rights of thee to thick-eyed musing in cursed melancholy? In thy faint slumbers I by thee have watched, and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars, speak terms of manage to thy bounding steed, cry courage to the field, and thou hast talked of sallies and retires, of trenches, tents, of palisadoes, frontiers, parapets, of basilisks, terrans, culverin, of prisoners' ransom, and of soldiers slain, and all the currents of a heady fight. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hath so bestirred thee in thy sleep, that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow like bubbles in a late disturbed stream, and in thy face strange motions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breath on some great sudden hest. Oh, what burdens are these! Some heavy business hath thy lord in hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not.
What ho!
Enter servant.
Is Gilliam's with the packet gone?
He is my lord an hour ago.
Butler brought those horses from the sheriff.
1 horse, my lord, he brought even now.
What horse? A roan crop ear, is it not?
It is, my lord.
And roan shall be my throne. Well, I will back him straight. Oh, Esperance, did Butler lead him forth into the park?
Exit
But
servant.
hear you, my lord.
What sayest thou, my lady?
What is it that carries you away?
Why, my horse, my love, my horse.
Out, you mad-headed ape! A weasel hath not such a deal of spleen as you are tossed with. In faith, I'll know your business, Harry, what I will. I fear my brother Mortimer does stir about this title and has sent for you to line his enterprise. But if you
So
go,
far afoot I shall be weary, love.
come, you parakeeto, answer me directly unto this question that I ask. In faith, I'll break thy little finger, Harry, if thou wilt not tell me all things true.
Away, away, you trifler. Love, I love thee not. I care not for thee, Kate. This is no world to play with mammoths and to tilt with the lips. We must have bloody noses and cracked crowns, and pass them current too. God's me, my horse! What say'st thou, Kate? What wouldst thou with me?
Do you not love me? Do you not indeed? Well, do not then, for since you love me not, I will not love myself. Do you not love me? Nay, tell me if you speak in jest or no.
Come, wilt thou see me ride? And when I am a horseback, I will swear I love thee infinitely. But hark you, Kate, I must not have you henceforth question me, whither I go, nor reason whereabouts. Whither I must, I must. And to conclude, this evening I must leave you, gentle Kate. I know you wise, but yet no further wise than Harry Percy's wife. Constant you are, but yet a woman. And for secrecy, no lady closer, for I well believe thou wilt not utter what thou dost not know. And so far will I trust thee, gentle Kate.
How? So far?
Not an inch further. But hark you, Kate, whither I go, thither shall you go too. Today I will set forth, tomorrow you. Will this content you, Kate?
It must, of course.
Exit all. Act 2. Scene 4. The Boar's Head Tavern in Eastcheap. Enter Prince Henry and Coins.
Ned, prithee, come out of that room and lend me thine ear to laugh a little, thy hand to laugh a little.
Where hast been, Hal?
With 3 or 4 loggerheads, again amongst 3 or 4 score hogsheads, I have sounded the very the very bass string of humility. Sirrah, I am sworn brother to a leash of drawers, and can call them by their common names, by their Christian names, as Tom, Dick, and Francis. They take it already. Upon their salvation, though I be Prince of Wales, I am but king of courtesy. I am no proud Jack like Falstaff, but a Corinthian, a lad of mettle, a good boy. They and by the Lord, so they call me when I am king. I will command all the good lads in Eastcheap. They call drinking deep, dying scarlets, and when they breathe in their watering, they call it hem, and bid thee play it off. To conclude, I am so good a proficient that in one quarter of an hour I can drink any tinker in his own language in my life. I tell thee, Ned, thou hast lost most honor in not being with me in this action. But Ned, to sweeten the name of Ned, I give thee this pennyworth of sugar, even now, clasped into my hand by a understinker, one that never spake other English than 8 shillings and 6pence, or you are welcome, with this shrill addition. Anon, score a pointed bastard in the half moon, or so. But, Ned, to drive away the time till Falstaff comes, I prithee, do. Thou stand in some by room, while I question my puny drawer, to what end he gave me the sugar. And do thou never leave calling Francis, that this tale be never anything more than anon. Step aside, I'll show thee a precedent.
Francis!
Thou art perfect.
Francis!
Exit points, enter Francis.
Anon, sir, look down into the pomegranate, Ralph.
Come hither, Francis.
My lord?
How long hast thou to serve, Francis?
Oh, for still 5 years, and as much as to...
Francis!
Anon, sir.
5 year, by your lady, is a long time for the clinking of pewter. But Francis, darest thou be so valiant in to play the coward in thy indentured, show it a new pair of heels and run from them?
Oh, Lord, sir, I'll be sworn upon all the books in England I could find in my heart.
Francis!
Anon, sir.
How old art thou, Francis?
Oh, let me see. About Michaelmas next.
Francis!
Shall be. Anon, sir. Pray, stay a little, my lord.
Nay, but I heart you, Francis. That sugar thou givest me, 'twas a penny worth, was it not? Was it not?
Oh, Lord, I would it had been 2.
I will give thee for it 1,000 pounds. Well, say when thou wilt, and thou shalt have.
Francis!
Anon.
And on, Francis. No, Francis. Tomorrow, Francis. Francis, a Thursday. Or indeed, Francis, when thou wilt. But Francis.
Anon.
Wouldst thou rob a leather jerkin, crystal button, not painted agate ring, puke stocking, caddis gartered, smooth tongue Spanish pouch?
Oh, Lord, sir, who do you mean?
Oh, why, then, brown bastard, be your drink. But look you, Francis, you will be soiled. Your white canvas doublet will sully. By Barbary, sir, it cannot come too much.
What, sir?
Francis!
Away, you rogue, canst not hear them call?
Don't call him. The drawer stands amazed, not knowing which way to go. Enter the vintner.
What? Standest thou still and hearest such a calling? Look to the guest within.
Exit Francis.
My lord, old Sir John, with 6 more are at the door. Shall I let them in?
Let them alone, then open the door.
Exit vintner.
Points!
Re-enter points.
Anon, sir!
Oh, Sirrah, Falstaff and the thieves are here. Shall we be merry?
As merry as crickets, my lad. But hark ye, what cunning match have you made with this chest of the drawer? Come, what's the issue?
I am of all humors that showed themselves to be humors from the old days of Goodman Adam to the people of this age to our present 12 o'clock midnights.
Re-enter Francis.
What's o'clock, Francis?
Anon, sir.
Exit.
That this fellow should have less words than a parrot. Yet, of woman born, I am not yet of the mind of Hotspur, this Percy of the North that kills me yet 6 or 7 dozen Scotsmen at a breakfast, washes his hands, turns to his wife and says, "Why on this quiet life? I want work." "Oh, sweet Harry," he asks, "how many hast thou killed today? Give my horse a good drench." "But some 14, he answers, an hour after. A trifle. Go call in Falstaff. I'll play his quiet. Go call in Falstaff.
I'll play.
I'll play Percy, and that's damned Braun shall play Lady Mortimer, his wife. Revo, cries the drunk. Bring in rib, bring in tallow.
Mr. Falstaff, Gadshill, Bardolph, and Pito. Francis following with wine.
Welcome, Jack. Where hast thou been?
Plague on all cowards, I say, and a vengeance too. Mary, and give me a cup of sack, boy, ere I leave this life ere long. I'll sow nether stocks and mend them and foot them too. A plague on all cowards. Give me a cup of sack, rogue. Is there no virtue extant?
Didst thou ever see Titan and kiss a dish of blood? Pitiful-hearted Titan, that melted in the sweet tale of the sun. If thou didst behold that compound,
You rogue. Here's a lime in this sack, too. There's nothing but roguery to be found in villainous men. Yet, a coward is worse than a cup of sack with lime in it. Ah, villainous coward. Go thy ways, old Jack, die when thou wilt. If manhood, good manhood, be not forgot upon the face of the earth, then I am a shot and herring. There live not 3 good men unhanged in England, and one of them is fat and grows old. God help the while. A bad world, I say. I would I were a weaver. I could sing psalms or anything. Plague of all cowards, I say still.
how now, Woolsack, what mutters you?
King's son, if I do not beat thee out of thy kingdom with a dagger of lath and drive all thy subjects afore thee like a flock of wild geese, I'll never wear hair on my face more, you Prince of Wales.
Why, you horse in the woolsack? What's the matter?
Are you not a coward? Answer me to that. And points there.
Sounds, you fat paunch. And you call me coward? By the Lord, I'll stab thee.
I call thee coward. I'll see thee damned ere I call thee coward, but I would give £1,000 I could run as fast as thou canst. You are straight enough in the shoulders, you care not who sees your back. Call you that backing your friends? A plague upon such backing! Give me them that will face me. Give me a cup of sack. I'm a rogue if I drunk today.
Oh, villain, thou lips are scarce wiped since thou drinkest last.
All's one for that. The plague of all cowards still, say I.
What's the matter?
What's the matter? If there be 4 of us here have taken £1,000 this day morning.
Where is it, Jack? Where is it?
Where is it? Taken from us it is. 100 upon poor 4 of us.
What, 100, man?
I'm a rogue if I were not at half sword with a dozen of them. After 2 hours together, I have escaped by a miracle. I am 8 times thrust through the doublet, 4 through the hose. My buckler cut through and through, my sword hacked like a hand saw. Ecce signum, I never dealt better since I was a man. All would not do. A plague of all cowards, let them speak. If they speak more or less than truth, they are villains and the son of darkness.
Greek, sirs, how was it?
We four set upon some dozen.
16 at least, my lord.
And bound them.
They were not bound.
They were bound, not every man of them, or I'm a Jew else, an Hebrew Jew.
As we were sharing, some 6 or 7 fresh men set upon us.
And unbound the rest, and then come in the other.
What you all done all yourself?
Oh, I know not what you call all, but I fought not with 50 of them. I'm a bunch of radish. If there were not 2 or 3 and 50 upon poor old Jack, then I am no two-legged creature.
Pray God you have not murdered some of them.
That's past praying for. I have peppered 2 of them. I am sure I have paid 2 rogues in buckram suits. I tell thee what, Hal. If I tell thee a lie, spit in my face, call me horse. Thou knowest, my old ward, here I lay, and thus I bore my point. 4 rogues in buckram let drive at me.
What, 4? There were but 2 even now.
4, Hal. I told thee 4.
Aye, he said 4.
Yeah, these 4 came all a front, and mainly thrusted me. I made me no more ado, but took all their 7 points in my target thus.
7? Why, there were but 4 just now.
Buckram.
Aye, 4 in buckram suits.
The 7 by these hills, or I'm a villain else.
Leave them alone. We shall have more anon.
Dost thou hear me, Hal?
I mark thee too, Jack.
Do so, for it's worth the listening to. These 9 in buckram that I told thee of.
So 2 more already.
Their points being broken.
Down fell their hose.
Began to give me ground, but I followed me close, came in foot and hand, and with a thought, 7 of the 11 I paid.
Oh, monstrous. 11 buckmen grown out of 2.
But as the devil would have it, 3 misbegotten knaves in Kendall Green came at my back and let drive at me, for it was so dark, Hal.
Oh,
Thou could not see thy hand.
These lies are like the father that begets them. Gross as a mountain, open, palpable. Why, thou craven guts, thou knotty-headed fool, thou whoreson, obscene, greasy tallow catch.
What, art thou mad? Art thou mad? Is not the truth?
Why, how couldst thou know they were in green talon, if thou couldst not see thine own hand? Come, tell us your reason. Why sayest thou this to this?
Come, your reason, Jack. Your reason.
What? Upon compulsion? Zound, I were at the Strappado or all the racks in the world, I would not tell you on compulsion. Give a reason on compulsion. If reasons were as plentiful as blackberries, I would give no man a reason upon compulsion. Why?
I will no longer be guilty of this sin, thou sanguine coward, thou bedcresser, thou horseback breaker, this hill of flesh.
Oh, blood, you starveling, you elf skin, you dried meat tongue, you bull's pizzle, you stockfish. Oh, for breath to utter what it is like thee, you tailor's yard, you sheath, you bowcase, you vile standing.
We breathe a while and then to it again. And when that tires of base comparison, hear me say but this.
Mark that, not Jack.
We 2 saw you 4. We 2 saw you set on 4, bound them, and the masters of their wealth. Mark now how a plain tale shall put you down. Then we 2 set on you 4, and in a word outfaced you from your prize. and have it, yea, and can show it here in the house. And you, Falstaff, carry your guts away as nimbly with his quick dexterity, howling and roar of mercy, and still run and roared as ever I heard a bull calf. What a slave thou art, to hack thy sword as thou hast done, and say it was in a fight. What trick, what device, what starting hole can thy find to hide from this open and apparent shame?
Come here. Let's hear, Jack. What trick hast thou now?
By the Lord, I knew ye as well as he that made ye. Why, hear you, my masters, was it for me to kill the heir apparent? Should I turn upon the true prince? Why, thou knowest I am as valiant as Hercules. But beware instinct, the lion will not touch the true prince. Instinct is a great matter. I was now a coward on instinct. I shall think the better of myself and thee during my life. I for a valiant lion, and thou for a true prince. But by the Lord, lads, I am glad you have the money. Hostess, clap the doors. Watch tonight. Pray tomorrow. Gallant lads, boys, hearts of gold, all the titles of good fellowship come to you. What, shall we be merry? Shall we have a play extempore?
And the argument shall be your running away.
Ah, no more of that, Howland, as thou lovest me.
You said, my lord the prince?
Oh, how now, my lady hostess? What sayest thou to me?
Marry, my lord, there is a nobleman at the ported door would speak with you. He says he comes from your father.
Give him enough that will make him a royal man and send him back to my mother.
Ah, what manner of man is he?
An old man.
What took gravity out of his bed at midnight? Shall I give him his answer?
Prithee do, Jack.
Faith, I'll send him packing.
Now, sirs, by your lady you fought fair. So did you, Peto, so did you, Bardolph. You were lions, too. You ran away on instincts. You will never touch the true prince. No, fie.
Faith, I ran when I saw the others run.
Oh, Faith, tell me how in earnest how Falstaff's sword, how came Falstaff's sword so hacked?
He did with his dagger and said he would swear truth out of England, but he would make you believe it was done in fight and persuaded us to do the like.
Hey, I had to tickle our noses with spear grass to make them bleed, and then to beslubber our garments with it, and swear it was the blood of true men. I did that, I did not, this 7 year before. I blushed to hear his monstrous devices.
Oh, villain, thou stolest a cup of sack 18 years ago, and were taken in the manner, and ever since thou hast blushed extempore, thou hast fire and sword by thy side. What instinct hast, and yet thou rannest away. What instinct hast thou for it?
My lord, do you see these meteors? Do you behold these exhalations?
I do.
What think you they portend?
Cold livers and hot persons.
Choler, my lord, if rightly taken.
No, if rightly taken, halter. Here comes Lead Jack. Here comes Barebones. How now, my sweet creature of bombast? How long was it since thou sawest thine own knee?
Mine own knee? When I was about 30 years old, Hal, I was not an eagle's talon in the waist. I could have crept into any alderman's thumb ring. A plague of sighing and grief. It blows a man up like a bladder. There's villainous news abroad. Here was Sir John Bracy from your father. You must to the court in the morning. That same mad fellow of the north, Percy, and he of Wales, that gave Amamon the bastinado and made Lucifer cuckold and swore the devil his true liegeman upon the cross of a Welsh book. What a plague call you him?
Owen Glendower.
Owen, that's the same. And his son-in-law, Mortimer, and old Northumberland, and that sprightly Scots Douglas that runs a horseback up a hill perpendicular.
He that rides at high speed with his pistol can kill the sparrow flying.
You hit it.
So did he never the sparrow?
Well, that rascal hath good mettle in him. He will not run.
Why, what a rascal art thou to praise him for not running?
Horseback, you cuckoo! But afoot, he will not budge a foot.
Jack, upon thy instinct. Yes, Jack, upon thy instinct.
I grant ye upon instinct. Well, he's there too, and one more Drake, and 1,000 blue caps more. Worcester is stolen away tonight. Thy father's beard is turned white with the news. You may buy land now as cheap as stinking mackerel.
Why then, if it is like there be a hot June and the civil buffeting hold, we shall buy maidenheads as they buy hobnails by the hundreds.
By the mass, lad, thou sayest true. It's like we shall have good trading that way. But tell me, Hal, art not thou horrible afeard? Thou being heir apparent, could the world pick thee out 3 such enemies again as that fiend Douglas, that spirit Percy, and that devil Glendower? Art thou not hardly afraid? Does not thy blood thrill at it?
Not a whit of faith. I lack some of thy instinct.
Well, thou wilt be horribly chid tomorrow when thou comest to thy father. If thou love me, practice an answer.
Do thou stand for my father and examine me on the peculiars of my life?
Shall I? Content. This chair shall be my state. This dagger my scepter, and this this cushion my crown.
Thy stay taken for a joint stool, thy golden scepter for a laden dagger, and thy precious rich crown for a pitiful bald crown.
Well, and the fire of grace be not quite out of thee. Now shalt thou be moved. Give me a cup of sack to make my eyes look red, that I may be thought to have wept. For I'm a speaking passion, and I will do it in King Cambyses' vein.
Well, here's my leg.
And here's my speech. Stand aside, nobility.
Oh, yes, sir. This is excellent sport of faith.
Weep not, sweet queen, for trickling tears are vain.
Oh, the father, how he holds his countenance.
For God's sake, lords, convey my tristful queen for tears. Do stop the floodgates of her eyes.
Oh, yes, sir. He does it as like one of these harlotry players as ever I see.
Peace, good pint pot, peace, good tickle brain, Harry. I do not only marvel when thou spendest this time, but also how thou art accompanied. For though the chamomile, the more it is trodden on, the faster it grows, yet youth, the more it is wasted, the sooner it wears. That thou art my son, I have partly thy mother's word, partly my own opinion, but chiefly a villainous trick of thine eye, and a foolish hanging of thy nether lip that doth warrant me. If then thou be son to me, here lies the point. Why, being son to me, art thou so pointed at? Shall the blessed Son of Heaven prove a mitcher and an eat blackberries? Question not to be asked. Shall the Son of England prove a thief and take purses? A question to be asked. There's a thing, Harry, which thou hast often heard of, and it is known to many in our land by the name of pitch. This pitch, as ancient writers do report, doth defile. So doth the company thou keepest. For Harry, now I do not speak to thee in drink, but in tears. Not in pleasure, but in passion. Not in words only, but in woes also. And yet, there is a virtuous man whom I have often noted in thy company, but I know not his name.
What better of man and like your majesty?
A good, portly man in faith, and a corpulent, of a cheerful look, a pleasing eye, and a most noble carriage, and, as I think, his age is some 50 or better, by your lady inclined to threescore. And now I remember him. His name is Falstaff. If that man should be lewdly given, he deceiveth me. For Harry, I see virtue in his looks. If then the tree may be known by the fruit, as the fruit by the tree, then peremptorily I speak it, there is virtue in that Falstaff. Him keep with. The rest, banish. and tell me now, thou naughty varlet, tell me, where hast thou been this month?
Dost thou speak like a king? Do thou stand for me? I'll play, and I'll play my father.
Depose me? if thou dost it half so gravely, so majestically, both in word and manner, hang me up by the heels for a rabbit sucker or a poulter's hair.
Well, here I am set.
And here I stand. Judge me, my masters.
Hurry, from whence thou come?
Oh, my own lord, from Eastcheap.
The complaints about you have been grievous.
Oh, blood, my lord, they are false. Nay, I tickle ye for a young prince in faith.
Swearest thou, ungracious boy, thou art taken rapidly from virtue. There is a devil haunts thee in the shape of a fat old man. A ton of man is thy companion. Why converse thou with this trunk of humors, this bolting sack of beastliness, this swollen trunk of dropsies, this The swollen parcel of dropsies. This huge bombard of sap. That stuffed cloak bag of guts. That roasted Manning tree ox with a pudding in his belly. That reverence vice. That gray iniquity. That father ruffian. That vanity of years. Wherein is he good but to taste the sap and drink it? Wherein neat and clean but to carve capons? Wherein cunning but in craft? Wherein crafty but in villainy? Wherein villainy but in all things? Wherein worthy but in nothing?
I would your grace would take me with you. Who means your grace?
That villainous, abominable misleader of youth. That Falstaff. That old white-beard Satan.
My lord, the man I know.
I know thou dost.
But to say I know more harm in him than in myself were to say more than I know. That he is old, the more the pity. His white hairs do witness it, but that he is, saving irreverence, a whoremaster, that I utterly deny. If sack and sugar be a fault, God help the wicked. If to be old and merry be a sin, then many an old host that I know is damned. If to be fat and to be hated, then Pharaoh's lean kine are to be loved? Oh, my good lord, banish Pedo, banish Bardolph, banish Point, but for sweet Jack Falstaff, kind Jack Falstaff, true Jack Falstaff, valiant Jack Falstaff, and therefore more valiant, being as he is old. Jack Falstaff, banish not him thy Harry's company, banish not him thy Harry's company, banish plump Jack, and banish all the world.
I do. I will.
Knocking is heard. Exit hostess, Francis, and Bardolph. Re-enter Bardolph, running.
Oh, my lord. Oh, damn it. Oh, my lord the sheriff with the most monstrous watch is at the door.
You rogue! Play out the play. I have much to say in the behalf of that Falstaff. Re-enter the hostess.
Sir, my lord, my lord!
Hi, the devil rides upon fiddlesticks. What's the matter?
The sheriff and all the watch are at the door. They are come to search the house. Shall I let them in?
Dost thou hear how never call a true piece of gold a counterfeit? Thou art essentially mad without seeming so.
Oh, thou art a natural coward. Without instinct.
I deny, your major, if you will deny the sheriff so. If not, let him enter. If I become not a cart as well as another man, a plague upon my bringing up. I hope I shall soon be strangled with a halter as another.
Go hide in the house. The rest will walk below. Now, masters, for a true face and good conscience.
Both which I have had, but their date is out, and therefore I'll hide thee.
Go call in the sheriff.
Exit all except Prince Henry and Pedo, and Sir Sheriff with the carrier.
Now, Master Sheriff, what is your will with me?
First, pardon me, my lord. A hue and cry hath followed certain men into this house.
What men?
One of them is well known, my gracious lord, a gross fat man.
As fat as butter.
The man, I do assure you, is not here. I myself at this time have employed him, but now I engage my word with you. I will, by tomorrow, dinner time, send him to answer for debt to thee, or any man for anything he shall be charged withal. With this I entreat thee, leave the house.
I will, my lord. There are 2 gentlemen have in this robbery lost 300 marks.
If it be so, he will be answerable. So farewell.
Good night, my noble lord.
I think it be moral, is it not?
Indeed, my lord, I think it be 2 o'clock.
The sheriff and carrier.
This oily rascal is as well known as Paul. Go call him.
Asleep behind the arrows and snorting like a whore.
My heart, how he does fetch breath. Search his pocket. Go search his pockets. What hast thou found?
Oh, nothing but papers, my lord.
There could be something. Read them.
Item A, coupon. 2 shillings, 2 pennies, item, sauce. 4 pennies, item, sack, 2 gallons, 5 shillings, 8 pennies, item, anchovies and sack after supper. 2 shillings, 6 pennies, item, bread.
Oh, monstrous. 1 penny worth for that intolerable deal of sack. What there is else keep close, we'll read it at more advantage. Let him sleep till day. I'll to the courts in the morning. We must all to wars, and my place shall be honorable. For I'll procure for this fat rogue a charge of foot. And I know his death will be the march of 12 score. The money shall be paid back again with advantage. With me, the bedtime in the morning. So good morrow.
Good morrow, good my lord.
Obscene.
Okay, and we will take our break, and I will see everybody in 5 minutes.
Thank you, Five.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Five.
Thank you, 5.
Jeffrey, you having fun?
Yes,
Oh, good.
I'm having fun.
Excellent. I am so thrilled to play Falstaff. You can't tell. I can't tell you.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when would anybody ever cast me as Falstaff? So this is like, you know, a dream come true.
I'm really enjoying your Falstaff, Shelia, and I would have never thought until today that a woman could actually read that part so effectively. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, well, you are welcome. This is actually a walk in the park compared to part 2. I'm very intimidated by part 2. He's much more of a lech in that one. So I'll have to work on that part. But
Yeah.
I have not found a recording if there exists one, but apparently Pat Carroll, if you remember Pat Carroll, that comedian.
Yes, I do.
Voice. She played on stage Falstaff in Merry Wives of Windsor, and they loved her. And that was reassuring to me that women can play Falstaff if they have the right attitude.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I want to see it so badly. And
Over the weekend, I saw an all-female cast that was in London. It was all female. It was a British cast, and every part was played by females.
And which role, which play was it?
With Henry IV, Part 1.
Whoa. Okay, because I know I went to a local performance, a local production in Queens of Merry Wives, and it wasn't a full female cast. They hadn't made that requirement, but they did have several females playing the husbands and other traditionally male roles, and it was so beautiful. And I will say in Merry Wives, where one of the husbands disguises himself and comes in and he fools people by disguising himself, they had a woman play the part, and when it was time to disguise herself, she had a 10-gallon hat and she had a Texas accent, and it was totally believable. It made sense that was, and it was not just theater in the round. The stage was the size of a postage stamp. So because Merry Wives, there's so much conspiracy and so many little secret conversations, is they clustered in the audience. We were at tables drinking beer, and they would have an audience member read a part if necessary. And the action took place all around the audience. It was fabulous.
Wow.
And I love the wonderful thing we do on Sundays, that the Wheel of Shakespeare that Mark Bowen hosts. It's amazing because we spin the wheel. You don't know if you're going to get a male monologue or a female monologue, and nobody cares. And the depth of interpretation that is allowed when you put gender aside and allow men to be Lady Percy and women to be Shylock and whatever, it's amazing what you get out of that. It's wonderful.
Interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hey, is everybody back?
Yeah.
I assume so.
I'm confirmed it's back. Yeah, Ulysses back.
Are we Act 3, Scene 1?
Pardon?
Are we Act 3, Scene 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it?
Yes.
Yes.
Whenever,
Ready.
whenever Vincent tells me, I'll start it.
Start.
Okay. Act 3, Scene 1, Bangor, the Archdeacon's house. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, Mortimer, and Glendower.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll read Worcester again. Since I don't know how I made that. Oh, no. Yes, since Hotspur and Worcester are the same scene. Don't know how I made that mistake. Sorry, go ahead.
These promises are fair, the party's sure, and our induction full of prosperous hope.
Angus? You're not back yet. Ulysses, can you read till Angus gets back?
Yeah. Lord Mortimer and Cousin Glendower, will you sit down at Uncle Worcester or play the part that I have forgot the map?
No, here it is. Sit, Cousin Percy, sit. Good Cousin Hotspur, for by that name as oft as Lancaster doth speak of you. His cheek looks pale, and with a rising sigh he wishes you in heaven.
And you in hell, as all he hears Owen Glendower spoke of.
I cannot blame him. At my nativity, the front of heaven was full of fiery shapes, of burning cressets, and at my birth the frame and huge foundation of the earth shaked like a coward.
Why, so it would have done at the same season if your mother's cat had but eaten, though yourself have never been born.
I say the earth did shake when I was born.
And I say the earth was not of my mind, if you suppose as fearing you it shook.
The heavens were all on fire, the earth did tremble.
Oh, then the earth shook to see the heavens on fire, and not in fear of your nativity. The sea's nature oftentimes break forth in strange eruptions. Off the teeming earth is with a kind of colic pinch and effect by the imprisoning of unruly wind within her womb, which for enlargement striving shakes the old beldam earth and topples down steeples and moss-grown towers. At your birth, our grand dam earth having this temperate in passion shook.
Cousin, of many men I do not bear these crossings. Give me leave to tell you once again, full of fiery shapes. The goats ran from the mountains, and the herds were strangely clamorous to the frighted fields. These signs have marked me extraordinary, and all the courses of my life do show I am not in the role of common men. Where is he living, clipped with the sea that chides the banks of England, Scotland, Wales, which calls me pupil, or hath read to me? And bring him out, is but the woman's son can trace me in the tedious ways of art, and hold my pace in deep experiments.
I think there's no man speaks better Welsh out to dinner.
Peace, Cousin Percy. Sorry.
Cousin Percy, you will make him mad.
I can call spirits from the vasty deep.
Why, so can I, or so can any man. But will they come when you do call for them?
Why, I can teach you, cousin, to command the devil.
I can't teach thee, cuz, to shame the devil by telling truth. Tell truth and shame the devil if thou have power to raise him. Bring him hither, and I'll be sworn I have power to shame him hence. Oh, while you live, tell truth and shame the devil.
No more of this unprofitable chat.
3 times hath Henry Bolingbroke made head against my power. Thrice from the banks of Wye and sandy bottom Severn have I sent him bootless home and weather-beaten back.
Home without boots and in foul weather too. How escapes he accused in the devil's name?
Come, here is the map. Shall we divide our right according to the threefold Orterne?
The Archdeacon hath divided. The 3 limits vary equally. England from Trent and Severn hitherto, by south and east, to lie partisan. All westward, Wales beyond the Severn shore, and all the fertile lands within that bound, to Owen, Glendower, and dear close to you. So with that north wind lying off from Trent and our indentures tripartite are drawn, which being sealed interchangeably, as business that this night may execute tomorrow, Cousin Percy, you and I, my good Lord of Worcester, will set forth to meet your father and the Scottish powers. As it is appointed us at Shrewsbury, my father, Glendower, is not ready yet. Not shall we meet as help these 14 days. Within that space, you may have drawn together your tenants, friends, and neighboring gentlemen.
A shorter time shall send me to you, lords, and in my conduct shall your ladies come, from whom you now must steal and take no leave. For there will be a world of watershed upon the parting of your wives and you.
Methinks my moiety north from Burton here in quantity equals not one of yours. See how this river comes me cranking in and cuts me from the best of all my land. A huge half moon, a monstrous cantle out, and I'll have the current of this place dammed up, and here the smug and silver trench shall run in a new channel, fair and evenly. It shall not wind with such a deep indent to rob me of so rich a bottom here.
Not wind, it shall, it must. You see it doth.
Yea, but mark how he begins his course and runs me up with like advantage on the other side, gilding the opposed continent as much as on the other side it takes from you.
Oh,
Yea, but little charge will trench in here, and on this north side, win this cape of land, and then he runs straight and even.
I'll have it so. A little charge will do it.
I'll not have it altered.
Will not you?
No, nor you shall not.
Who shall say me nay?
Why, that will I.
Let me not understand you then. Speak it in Welsh.
I can speak English, Lord, as well as you, but I was trained up in the English court, where being but young, I framed to the harp many an English ditty lovely well, and gave the tongue a helpful ornament, a virtue that was never.
Marry, and I am glad of it with all my heart. I had rather be a kitten and cry mew than one of these same metre ballad mongers. I had rather hear a brazen canstick turned or a dry wheel grate on the axle tree, and that would set my teeth nothing on edge, nothing so much as mincing poetry. 'Tis like the forced gait of a shuffling nag.
Come, you shall have Trent turned.
I do not care. I have thrice so much land as to any well-deserving friend. But in the way of bargain, mark you me, I cavil on the 9th part of a hair. Are the indentures drawn? Shall we be gone?
The moon shines fair. You may away by night. I'll haste the writer, and withal break with your wives of your departure hence. I'm afraid my daughter will run mad, so much she doteth on her Mortimer.
Exit Glendower.
Fine, cousin Percy, how you cross my father.
Oh, I cannot choose. Sometime he angers me with telling me of the mould warp and the ant, and of the dreamer Merlin and his prophecies, and of a dragon and a finless fish, a clip-winged griffin and a molten raven, a crouching lion and a ramping cat, and such a deal of skimble-scamble stuff as puts me from my fate. I tell you what, he held me last night at least 9 hours in reckoning up the several devils' names that were his lackeys. I cried, home, and we'll go too, but marked him not a word. Oh, he is as tedious as a tired horse, a railing wight worse than a smoky house. I had rather live with cheese and garlic in a windmill far than feeding on cakes and have him talk to me in any summer house in Christendom.
Indeed, he is a worthy gentleman, exceedingly well read and profited in strange concealments, valiant as a lion, and as wondrous affable and as bountiful as mines of India. Shall I tell you, cousin? He holds your temper in a high respect and curbs himself even of his natural scope. When you come across his humor, faith he does. I warned you, that man is not alive, might so have tempered him as you have done, without the taste of danger and reproof, but do not use it off. Let me entreat you.
In faith, my lord, you are too willful blame, and since your coming hither have done enough to put him quite beside his patience. We must needs learn, Lord, to amend this fault. But sometimes it show greatness, courage, blood, and that's the dearest grace it renders you. Yet oftentimes it doth present harsh rage. Effect of manners, want of government, pride, haughtiness, opinion, and disdain, the least of which haunting a nobleman loseth men's hearts, and leaves behind a stain upon the beauty of all hearts, besides beguiling them in commendation.
Well, I am schooled. Good manners be your speed. Here come our wives, and let us take our leave.
And a Grundauer with the ladies.
This is the deadly spit that angers me. My wife can speak no English. I know Welsh.
My daughter weeps. She will not part with you. She'll be a soldier too. She'll to the wars.
Father, tell her that she and I, Aunt Percy, shall follow in your conduct speedily.
Glendower speaks to her in Welsh, and she answers him in the same.
She is desperate here, a peevish, self-willed harlotry, one that no persuasion can do good upon.
The lady speaks in Welsh.
Understand thy looks, that pretty Welsh, which thou pourest down from these swelling heavens. Oh, I am too perfect in, but for shame, in such a parley should I answer thee.
She speaks again in Welsh.
I understand thy kisses and thou mine, and that's a feeling disputation. Oh, that will never be a true love till I have learned thy language, for thy tongue makes Welsh as sweet as deities highly penned, sung by a fair queen in a summer's hour, with ravishing division to her lute.
Nay, if you melt, then will she run mad.
The lady speaks again in Welsh.
My ignorance itself in this.
She bids you on the wanton rushes lay you down, and rest your gentle head upon her lap. And she will sing the song that pleaseth you, and on your eyelids crown the god of sleep, charming your blood with pleasing heaviness, making such difference twixt wake and sleep, as is the difference betwixt day and night, the hour before the heavenly harnessed team begins his golden progress in the east.
With all my heart I'll sing and hear its song. By that time will our book, I think, be done.
Do so, and those musicians that shall play to you hang in the air 1,000 leagues from hence, and straight they shall be here. Sit and attend.
Come, Kate, thou art perfect in lying down. Come, quick, quick, that I lay my head in thy lap.
Oh, you giddy goose.
The music plays.
Now I perceive the devil understands Welsh, and 'tis no marvel he is so humorous. My lady, he's a good musician.
Then to you be nothing but musical, for you are altogether governed by humors. Lie still, you thief, and hear the ladies sing in Welsh.
I'd rather hear, lady, my brach howl in Irish.
Wouldst thou have thy head broken?
No.
Then be still.
Neither. 'Tis a woman's fault.
Now God help thee.
To the Welsh lady's bed.
What's that?
Peace. She sings.
Here the lady sings a Welsh song.
Come, Kate, I'll have your song too.
Not mine, in good sooth.
Not yours, in good sooth. Heart, you swear like a comfort maker's wife. Not you, in good sooth, and as true as I live, and as God shall mend me, and as sure as day, givest thou sarcenet surety for thy oaths, as if thou never walkst further than Finsbury. Swear me, Kate, like a lady as thou art, a good mouth-filling oath, and leave in sooth, and such protests of pepper gingerbread to velvet guards and Sunday citizens. Come, sing.
Will not sing.
'Tis the next way to turn tailor or be redbreast teacher. And the indentures be drawn, I'll away within these 2 hours, and so come in when you will.
Exit.
Come, Lord Mortimer. You are as slow as hot Lord Percy is on fire to go. By this our book is drawn, we'll but seal, and then to horse immediately.
Exit all. Act 3. Scene 2. London. The Palace. Enter
Lord.
Henry IV, Prince Henry, and others.
Okay, before we go on, Brandon, could you take over Worcester, please? Brandon?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, King.
Lords, give us leave. The Prince of Wales and I must have some private conference, but be near at hand, for we shall presently have need of you.
Exit Lords.
I know not whether God will have it so for some displeasing service I have done, that in his secret doom out of my blood, he'll breed revengement and a scourge for me. But thou dost in thy passages of life make me believe that thou art only marked for the hot vengeance and the rod of heaven to punish my mistreadings. Tell me else, could such inordinate and low desires, such poor, such bare, such lewd, such mean attempts, such barren pleasures, rude society, as thou art matched withal and grafted to, accompany the greatness of thy blood, and hold their level with thy princely heart?
So please your majesty, I could quit all offenses with a clear excuse, as well as I can purge myself of many I am charged with all. Yet such extension let me beg, as in reproof of many tales, thou which oft the ear of greatness must hear, by smiling pick thanks and base news mongers. I may have some things be true, wherein my youth have wandered and irregular. Find pardon in my true submission.
No, God pardon thee. Yet let me wonder, Harry, at thy affections, which do hold a wing quite from the flight of all thy ancestors. Thy place in council thou hast rudely lost, which by thy young brother is supplied, and art almost an alien to the hearts of all the court and princes of my blood. The hope and expectation of thy time is ruined, and the soul of every man prophetically do forethink thy fall. Had I so lavish of my presence been, so common hackneyed in the eyes of men, so stale and cheap to vulgar company, opinion that did help me to the crown had still kept loyal to possession, left me in reputeless banishment, a fellow of no mark nor likelihood. By being seldom seen, I could not stir, but like a comet I was wondered at. That men would tell their children, "This is he." Others would say, "Where? Which is Bolingbroke?" And then I stole all courtesy from heaven and dressed myself in such humility that I did pluck allegiance from men's hearts, loud shouts and salutations from their mouths, even in the presence of the crowned king. Thus did I keep my person fresh and new. My presence, like a robe pontifical, ne'er seen but wondered at. And so my state, seldom but sumptuous, showed like a feast and won by rareness such solemnity. The skipping king, he ambled up and down with shallow jesters and rash baven wits, soon kindled and soon burnt. Parted his state, mingled his royalty with capering fools, had his great name profaned with their scorns, and gave his countenance against his name to laugh at jibing boys and stand the push of every beardless vain comparative. Royal companion to the common street, enfeoffed himself to popularity, that being daily swallowed by men's eyes, they surfeited with honey, and began to loathe the taste of sweetness, whereof a little more than a little is by much, too much. So when he had occasion to be seen, he was was but as the cuckoo is in June. Heard, but not regarded. Seen, but with such eyes as sick and blunted with community. For no extraordinary gaze such as is bent on sun-like majesty, when it shines seldom in admiring eyes, but rather drowsed and hung their eyelids down, slept in his face, and rendered such aspect as cloudy men use to their adversaries, being with his presence glutted, gorged, and full. And in that very line, Harry, standest thou, for thou hast lost thy princely privilege with vile participation. Not in eyes, but is aweary of thy common sight, save mine, which hath desired to see thee more, which now doth that I would not have it do, it may blind itself with foolish tenderness.
I will hereafter, my thrice gracious lord, be more myself.
For all the world as thou art to this hour was Richard then, when I was from France set foot at Ravensburg, and even as I was then as Percy now. Now by my scepter and my soul to boot, he hath more worthy interest to the state than thou, the shadow of succession. For of no right, nor colour like to right, he doth fill fields with harness in the realm, turns head against the lion's armed jaws, and being no more in debt to years than thou, leads ancient lords and reverend bishops on to bloody battles and to bruising arms. What never-dying honour hath he got against renowned Douglas, whose high deeds, whose hot incursions, and great name in arms holds from all soldiers chief majority and military title capital through all the kingdoms that acknowledge Christ. Thrice has this Hotspur, Mars and swaddling clothes, this infant warrior in his enterprises, discomfited great Douglas, ta'en him once, enlarged him, and made a friend of him, to fill the mouth of deep defiance up and shake the peace and safety of our throne. And what say you to this? Percy, Northumberland, the Archbishop's Grace of York, Douglas, Mortimer, capitulate against us and are up. But wherefore do I tell these news to thee? My Harry, do I tell thee of my foes, which art my nearest and dearest enemy? Thou that art like enough, though through vassal fear, base inclination, and the start of spleen, to fight against me under Percy's pay, to dog his heels and curtsy at his frowns, to show how much thou art degenerate.
Do not think so. Thou shalt not find it so. And God forgive them that so much have swayed your majesty's good thoughts away from me. I will redeem all this on Percy's head. And in the closing of one of these, of some glorious day, will be bold to tell you I am your son on that day. And when I will wear a garment all of blood, and stain my favors with a mask of blood, which, when washed, will scour my shame with it. And that shall be the day where it likes this same child of honor and renown, this gallant Hotspur, this much praised knight, and your unthought of Harry shall chance to meet. For every honor sitting on his realm, would they were the multitudes, and on my head my shames redoubled, for the time will come when I shall make this northern youth exchange his glorious feats for my indignities. Percy is but my factor, my lord, to engross up glorious deeds upon myself, and I will call him to so strict account that he shall render every glory up, yea, even the slightest worship of his time, or I will tear the reckoning from his heart. This is the name of God I swear. I promise here. The which, if he be pleased, I shall perform. I do beseech your majesty may salve the much prone wounds of my intemperance. If not, the end of life cancels all bans. And I will die 100,000 deaths ere break the smallest parcel of this vow.
100,000 rebels die in this. Thou shalt have charge and sovereign trust herein.
Enter Blunt.
How now, good Blunt, thy looks are full of speed.
So I have the business that I come to speak of. Lord Mortimer of Scotland has sent word that Douglas and the English rebels met the 11th of this month at Shakespeare. A mighty and a fearful head they are, if promises be kept on every hand, as ever offered foul play in the state.
The Earl of Westmoreland set forth today, with him my son, Lord John of Lancaster, for this advertisement is 5 days old. On Wednesday next, Harry, you shall set forward. On Thursday, we ourselves will march. Our meeting is Bridgenorth. And, Harry, you shall march through Gloucestershire, by which account our business valued some 12 days hence, our general forces at Bridgenorth shall meet. Our hands are full of business. Let's away. Advantage feeds him fat while men delay.
All Act 3, Scene 3. Eastcheap, the Boar's Head Tavern. Enter Falstaff and Bardolph. Bardolph, am I not fallen away vilely since this last action? Do I not bake? Do I not dwindle? Why, my skin hangs about me like an old lady's loose gown. I am withered like an old apple John. Well, I'll repent. And that suddenly, while I am in some liking, I shall be out of heart shortly, and then I shall have no strength to repent. And I've not forgotten what the inside of a church is made of. I am a peppercorn, a brewer's horse. The inside of a church. Company, villainous company hath been the spoil of me.
Sir John, you are so fretful you cannot live long.
But there it is. Come, sing me a bawdy song. Make me merry. I was as virtuously given as a gentleman needs to be. Virtuous enough. Swore little. Least not above 7 times a week. Went to Bawdy House once in a quarter of an hour. Paid money that I borrowed 3 or 4 times. I lived well and in good compass. And now I live out of all order, out of all compass.
Why, you are so fat, Sir John, that you must needs be out of all compass, out of all reasonable compass, Sir John.
Do thou amend thy face, and I'll amend my life. Thou art admirable, Admiral. Thou bearest the lantern in the poop, but 'tis in the nose of thee. Thou art the light of the burning lamp.
Why, Sir John, my face does you no harm.
Now I'll be sworn. I make as good use of it as many a man doth of a death's head or a memento mori. I never see thy face, but I think upon hellfire and dives that live in purple, for there he is in his robes burning. If thou wert anywhere given to virtue, I would swear by thy face. My oath should be by this fire. That's God's angel. But thou art altogether given over, and wert indeed but for the light in thy face, the son of utter darkness, when thou ranst up Gad's Hill in the night to catch my horse, if I did not think thou hadst been an ignis fatuus or a ball of wildfire, there's no purchase in money. Oh, thou art a perpetual triumphant everlasting bonfire light. Thou hast saved me 1,000 marks in links and torches, walking with thee in the night betwixt tavern and tavern. But the sack that thou hast drunk me would have bought me lights as good cheap as the dearest chandlers in Europe. I have maintained that salamander of yours with fire any time this 32 years. God reward me for it.
Blood, my face. I would my face were in your belly.
God's a mercy. So should I be sure to be heartburned. Hey, how now, hostess Dame Partlet the hen? Have you inquired yet who picked my pocket?
Sir John, what do you think? Sir John, do you think I keep thieves in my house? I have searched, I have inquired, so has my husband, man by man, boy by boy, servant by servant. The tithe of a hair was never lost in my house before.
Ye lie, hostess. Bardolph was shaved and lost many a hair, and I'll be sworn my pocket was picked. Go to your woman, go.
Why? No, I defy thee. God's light, I was never called so in mine own house before.
I go too. I know you well enough.
No, Sir John, you do not know me, Sir John. I know you, Sir John. You owe me money, Sir John, and now you pick a quarrel to beguile me of it. I brought you a dozen of shirts to your back.
Dollars, filthy owls. I have given them away to bakers' wives, and they have made bolters of them.
Now, as I am a true woman, Holland of 8 shillings an ell. You owe money here besides, Sir John, for your diet and by drinkings and money lent you, £24.
He had his pardon, and let him pay.
Alas, he is poor. He has nothing.
How? Poor? Look upon his face. What calls you rich? Let them coin his nose. Let them coin his cheeks. I'll not pay a denier. What? Will you make a yonker of me? Shall I not take mine case in mine inn? But I shall have my pocket picked. I have lost a seal ring of my grandfather's worth 40 mark.
Oh, yes, Sue. I have heard the prince tell him, I know not how oft, that ring was copper.
How? The prince is a jack. A sneak cup. Splight. And he were here, I would cudgel him like a dog if he would say so. How now, lad? Is the wind in that door in faith? Must we all march?
Aye, two and two, Newgate fashion.
My lord, I pray you hear me.
What sayest thou, mistress, quickly? How doth thy husband? I love him well. He is an honest man.
My lord, hear me.
Prithee, let her alone and listen to me.
What sayest thou, Jack?
The other night, I fell asleep here, behind the arras, and had my pocket picked. This house is turned bawdy house. They pick pockets.
What didst thou lose, Jack?
Wilt thou believe me how? 3 or 4 bonds of £40 apiece and a seal ring of my grandfather's.
Trifle and some 8 penny affair. Got it?
Oh, I told him, my lord, and I said I heard your grace say so. And my lord, he speaks most vilely of you, like a foul-mouthed man as he is, and said he would cudgel you.
What? He did not.
There's neither faith, truth, nor womanhood in me else.
There's no more faith in thee than in a stewed prune. No more truth in thee than in a drawn fox. And for womanhood, Maid Marian may be the deputy's wife of the ward to thee. Go, you thing, go.
Say, what thing? What thing?
What thing? What? But a thing to thank God on.
I am no thing to thank God on. I would thou should know it. I woman's wife, and setting thy knighthood aside, thou art a knave to call me so.
Setting thy womanhood aside, thou art a beast to say otherwise.
Say, what beast? Thou knave, thou?
What beast? Why, an otter.
Why another, Sir John? Why another?
She's neither fish nor flesh. A man knows not where to have her.
Thou art an unjust man in saying so. Thou or any man knows where to have me, thou knave, thou.
Thou sayest true, Hostess. He is slandered thee most grossly.
So it doth you, my lord, and said this other day you owed him 1,000 pounds.
Sirrah, I owed you 1,000 pounds.
1,000 pounds? A million? Thy love is worth a million. Thou owest me thy love.
Nay, my lord, he called you Jack and said he would cudgel you.
Did I, Bardolph?
Indeed, Sir John, you said so.
Ah, yea, if he said my ring was copper.
I said 'twas copper. Darest thou be as good as thy word now?
Why, how? Thou knowest as thou art, but man, I dare, but as thou art prince, I fear thee as I fear the roaring of a lion's whelp.
Why not as the lion?
The king is to be feared as the lion. Dost thou think I'll fear thee as I fear thy father? Nay, and I do it, I pray God my girdle break.
And if thou should, how would thy guts fall about thy knees? Ah, but Sirrah, there is no faith. There is no room for faith, nor truth, nor honesty in that bosom of thine. It is all filled up with fat and guts and midriff. Charge an honest woman with picking thy pockets. Why, thou whoreson impudent, embossed rascal, if there anything in thy pocket but tavern reckonings, reminiscences, memorandums of bawdy houses, and one poor pennyworth of sugar to make me sugar candy to make me long-winded. If thy pockets were enriched with any other injuries but these, I am a villain. And yet you will not stand to it. You will not pocket up wrong. Art thou not ashamed?
Dost thou hear, Hal? Thou knowest in the state of innocency Adam fell, and what should poor Jack Falstaff do in the days of villainy? Thou seest, I have more flesh than any man, and therefore more frailty. You confess then, you picked my pocket.
It would seem so by the story. It appears so by the story.
Hostess, I forgive it. Go. Make ready breakfast. Love thy husband. Look to thy servants. Cherish thy guests. Thou shalt find me tractable to any honest reason. Thou seest, I am pacified still. Nay, prithee, be gone. Now, Hal, to the news at court. For the robbery, lad, how is that answered?
Oh, my sweet thief, I will still be an angel to thee. The money has been paid back again.
I do not like that paying back. 'Tis a double labor.
I am good friends with my father and can do whatever I want. May do anything.
Rob me the exchequer the first thing thou dost, and do it with unwashed hands too.
Do, my lord.
I have procured thee, Jack, a charge of foot.
I would it had been done by a horse. Where shall I find one that can steal well? For a fine thief of the age of 2 and 20 or thereabouts. I'm heinously unprovided. Well, God be thanked for these rebels. They defend none but the virtuous. I laud them. I praise them.
Bardolph,
My lord,
go bear this note to the Lord John of Lancaster, to my brother John. This to my Lord of Westmoreland.
Yes, good Bardolph.
Go, Pedo, horse to horse, for thou and I have 30 miles to ride. Yes, ere dinner time.
Exit Pedo.
Jack, need me tomorrow in the Temple Hall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There shalt know thy charge, and there receive money and order of their furniture. The land is burning. Percy stands high in the field, and either we or they must lower die.
Exit Prince Henry. Rare words. Brave world. Hostess, my breakfast come, or I could wish this tavern were my drum. Exit. Act 4, Scene 1. The rebel camp near Shrewsbury. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, and Douglas.
well said, my noble Scot. If speaking truth in this fine age were not thought flattery, such attribution should the Douglas have, as not a soldier of this season's stamp should go so general current through the world. By God, I cannot flatter. I do defy the tongues of soothers. But a braver place in my heart's love hath no man than yourself. Nay, task me to my word. Approve me, Lord.
Thou art the king of honor. No man so potent breathes upon the ground, but I will hear.
Do so, and 'tis well.
Enter a messenger with letters.
What letters hast thou there? I can but thank you.
These letters come from your father.
Letters from him? Why comes he not himself?
He cannot come, my lord. He is grievous sick.
Zounds, how has he the leisure to be sick in such a justling time? Who leads his power? Under whose government come they along?
His letters bear his mind, and not I, my lord.
Can you tell me, doth he keep his bed?
He did, my lord, 4 days ere I set forth, and at the time of my departure thence he was much feared by his physicians.
I would the state of time had first been whole, ere he by sickness had been visited. His health was never better worth than now.
Sick now? Droop now? This sickness doth infect the very lifeblood of our enterprise. 'Tis catching hither even to our camp. He writes me here that inward sickness, and that his friends by deputation could not so soon be drawn, nor did he think it meet to lay so dangerous and dear a trust on any soul removed but on his own. Yet doth he give us bold advertisement that with our small conjunction we should on to see how fortune is disposed to us. For, as he writes, there is no quailing now, because the king is currently possessed of all our purposes. What say you to it?
Your father's sickness is a main to us.
Perilous gash, a very limb lopped off. And yet, in faith, it is not. His present want seems more than we shall find it. Very good to set the exact wealth of all our states, all at one cast, to set so rich a main on the nice hazard of one doubtful hour. Were not good, for therein should we read the very bottom and the soul of hope, the very list, the very utmost bound of all our fortunes.
Faith, and so we should, where now remains a sweet reversion. We may boldly spend upon the hope of what is to come in. A comfort of retirement lives in this.
A rendezvous, a home to fly unto, if that the devil and mischance look big upon the maidenhead of our affairs.
Yet I would your father had been here. The quality and care of our attempt brooks no division. It will be thought by some that know not why he is away. that wisdom, loyalty, and mere dislike of our proceedings kept the Earl from hence. And think how such an apprehension may turn the tide of a fearful faction and breed a kind of question in our cause. Well, you know, we of the offering side must keep aloof from strict embarrassment and stop all cycles, every loop from whence the eye of reason may pry in upon us. The absence of your father draws a curtain that shows the ignorant a kind of fear before not dreamt of.
You strain too far. I rather of his absence make this use. It lends a lustre and more great opinion, a larger dare to our great enterprise than if the Earl were here. For men must think that if we, without his help, can make a head to push against a kingdom, with his help, we shall all turn it topsy-turvy down. It all goes well. It all our joints are whole.
As heart can think, there's not such a word spoke of in silence from fear.
Enter Sir Richard Vernon.
My cousin Vernon, welcome by my soul.
Pray God my news be worth a welcome, Lord. The Earl of Westmoreland, 7,000 strong, is marching hitherwards. With him, Prince John.
No harm. What more?
And further have I learned the king himself in person is set forth, or hitherwards intended speedily with strong and mighty preparation.
He shall be welcome too. Where is his son, the nimble-footed madcap Prince of Wales, and his comrades that daft the world aside and bid it pass?
All furnished, all in arms, all plumed like estridges that with the wind baited like eagles, having lately bathed, glittering in golden courts like images, as full of spirit as the month of May, and gorgeous as the sun at midsummer, wanton as youthful goats, wild as the young bulls. I saw young Harry with his beaver on, his cuisses on his thighs, gallantly armed, rise from the ground like feathered Mercury, and vaulted with such ease into his seat as if an angel dropped down from the clouds to turn and wind a fiery Pegasus and witch the world with noble horsemanship.
No more, no more. Worse than the sun in March, this praise doth nourish agues. Let them come. They come like sacrifices in their trim, and to the fire-eyed maid of smoky war, all hot and bleeding, will we offer them. The mailed Mars shall on his altar sit, up to the ears in blood. I am on fire to hear this rich reprisal is so nigh, and yet not ours. Come, let me test my horse, who is to bear me like a thunderbolt against the bosom of this Prince of Wales. Harry to Harry shall, hot horse to horse, meet, and ne'er part till one drop down a course. Oh, that Glendower were come.
There is more news. I learned in Worcester as I rode along, he cannot draw his power these 14 days.
That's the worst tidings that I hear of yet.
By my faith. Oh, sorry. What, may the king's whole battle reach unto?
Hotspur.
Vernon has a line. I thought. Okay.
I by my faith that bears a frosty sound.
What, may the king's whole battle reach unto?
Hold on. Okay.
I'll start
40
again.
let it be. My father and Glendower being doth away. The powers of us may serve so great a day. Come, let us take a muster speedily.
Doomsday is near. Die all, die merrily.
I'm sorry.
What?
I by my faith that bears a frosty sound.
Talk not of dying. I am out of fear of death or death's hand for this 1/2 year.
Exit all. Act 4. Scene 2. A public road near Coventry. Enter Falstaff and Bardolph. Bardolph, get thee before to Coventry. Fill me a bottle of sack. Our soldiers shall march through. We'll to Sutton Coldfell tonight.
Will you give me money, Captain?
Lay out.
This bottle makes an angel.
And if it do, take it for thy labor. And if it be 20, take them all. I'll answer the coinage. Bid my Lieutenant Pedo meet me at town's end.
I will, Captain. Farewell.
I be not ashamed of my soldiers. I am a soused gurnet. I have misused the king's press damnably. I have got in exchange of 150 soldiers, 300 and odd pounds. I press me none, but good householders, yeomen's sons, inquire me out contracted bachelors, such as had been asked twice, and the bands, such a commodity of warm slaves as hath leave here the devil as a drum, such as fear the report of a caliver, worse than a struck fowl or a hurt wild duck. I pressed me none but such toasts and butter with hearts in their belly no bigger than pins' heads, and they have bought out their services, and now my whole charge consists of ancients, corporals, lieutenants, gentlemen of companies, slaves as ragged as Lazarus in the painted cloth, where the glutton's dogs leave his sores, and such as indeed were never soldiers, but discarded unjust serving men. Younger sons to younger brothers, revolted tapsters and ostlers, trade fallen, the cankers of a calm world and a long peace, 10 times more dishonorable ragged than an old-faced ancient, and such have I to fill up the rooms of them that have bought out their services, that you would think that I had 150 tattered prodigals, lately come from swine keeping, from eating draff and husks. A mad fellow met me on the way and told me I had unloaded all the gibbets and pressed the dead bodies. No eye hath seen such scarecrows. I'll not march with Coventry with them. That's flat. Nay, and the villains march wide betwixt the legs as if they had gyves on them. For indeed, I had the most of them out of prison. There's but a shirt and a half in all my company, and the half shirt is 2 napkins tacked together and thrown over the shoulders like an herald's coat without sleeves. And the shirt, to say the truth, stolen from my host at St. Albans, or the red-nosed innkeeper of Daventry. But that's all one. They'll find linen enough on every hedge. To the Prince in Westmoreland.
How now, Blow and Jack? How now, Quill?
How now, mad wag? What a devil dost thou in Warwickshire? My good lord, Westmoreland, I cry you mercy. I thought your honor had already been at Shrewsbury.
Faith, Lord John, 'tis more than time that I were there, and you too. By my powers here already, the king, I can tell you, looks for us, as we must away all night.
Never fear me. I'm as vigilant as a cat to steal a cream.
I think to steal the cream indeed, for thy theft hath already made thee butter. But tell me, Jack, whose fellows are these that come after you?
Mine, Hal, mine.
I did never see such pitiful rascals.
Good enough to toss. Food for powder. Food for powder. They'll fill a pit as well as better. touch. Man, mortal men. Mortal men.
Ah, but Sir John, methinks they are exceedingly poor and bear too beggarly.
Faith, for their poverty, I know not where they had that, and for their barrenness, I'm sure they never learned that of me.
Now I'll be sworn if thou considers 3 fingers in the ribs bare. But sirrah, make haste. Percy is already in the field.
What? Is the king encamped?
He is, Sir John, and I fear we shall stay too long.
To the latter end of a fray and the beginning of a feast fits a dull fighter and a keen guest. Exit all. Act 4, Scene 3. The rebel camp near Shrewsbury. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, Douglas, and Vernon.
We'll fight with him tonight.
It may not be.
Give her the advantage.
Not a whit.
Why say you so? Looks he not for supply?
So do we.
This is certain. Ours is doubtful.
Good cousin, be advised, stir not tonight.
Do not, my lord.
You do not counsel. You speak it out of fear and cold heart.
Do me no slander, Douglas. By my life, and I dare well maintain it with my life, if well-respective honor bid me on, I hold as little counsel with weak fear as you, my lord, or any other Scot that this day lives. Let it be seen tomorrow in the battle, which of us fears.
Yea or tonight?
Content.
Tonight, say I.
Come, it may not be. I wonder much, being men of such great leading as you are, that you foresee not what impediments drag back our expedition. Certain horse of my cousin Vernon's are not yet come up. Your uncle Worcester's horse came but today, and now their pride in mettle is asleep. Their courage with hard labor tame and dull, that not a horse is half the half of himself.
So are the horses of the enemy, general journey baited, and brought low. The better part of ours are full of rest.
The number of the king exceedeth ours. For God's sake, cousin, stay till we come in.
The trumpet sounds a parley. Enter Sir Walter Blunt.
I come with gracious offers from the king if you.
Welcome, Sir Walter Blunt, and would to God you were of our determination. Some of us love you well, and even those some envy your great deservings and good name, because you are not of our quality, but stand against us like an enemy.
And God defend, but still I should stand so long as out of limit and true rule you stand against anointed majesty. But to my charge, the king hath sent to know the nature of your griefs, and whereupon you conjure from the breast of civil peace such bold hostility, teaching his dubious land audacious cruelty. And that the king hath any way your good deserts forgot, which he confessed to be menable. We bid you name your griefs, and with all speed you shall have your desires with interest, and pardon absolute for yourself in these errand misled by your suggestion.
The king is kind, and well we know the king knows at what time to promise, when to pay. My father and my uncle and myself did give him that same royalty he wears, when he was not 26 strong, sick in the world's regard, wretched and low, a poor unminded outlaw sneaking home. My father gave him welcome to the shore, and when he heard him swear and vow to God, he came but to be Duke of Lancaster, to sue his livery and beg his peace with tears of innocency and terms of zeal. My father, in kind heart and pity moved, and swore him assistance, and performed it too. Now when the lords and barons of the realm perceived Northumberland did lean to him, the more and less came in with cap and knee, met him in boroughs, cities, villages, attended him on bridges, stood in lanes, laid gifts before him, proffered him their oaths, gave him their heirs as pages, followed him even at the heels in golden multitudes. He presently, as greatness knows itself, steps me a little higher than his vow made to my father while his blood was poor upon the naked shore at Ravensburg. And now, forsooth, takes on him to reform some certain edicts and some strait decrees that lie too heavy on the Commonwealth, cries out upon abuses, seems to weep over his country's wrongs, and by this face, this seeming brow of justice, did he win the hearts of all that he did angle for. Proceeded further, cut me off the heads of all the favourites that the absent king in deputation left behind him here when he was personal in the Irish War.
Todd, I came not to hear this.
Then to the point. In short time after, he deposed the king, and soon after that deprived him of his life. And in the neck of that task, the whole state, to make that worse, suffered his kinsman March, who is, if every owner were well placed, indeed his king, to be engaged in Wales, there without ransom till I forfeited, disgraced me in my happy victories, sought to entrap me by intelligence, rated mine uncle from the council board, enraged, dismissed my father from the court, broke oath on oath, committed wrong on wrong, and in conclusion drove us to seek out the head of safety, and withal to pry into his title, the which we find too indirect for long continuance.
Shall I return this answer to the king?
Oh, not so, Sir Walter. We'll withdraw a while. Go to the king, and let there be impawned some surety for a safe return again, and in the morning early shall mine uncle bring him our purposes. And so farewell.
I would you would accept of grace and love.
And maybe so we shall.
God, you do.
Exit all. Act 4, Scene 4, York. The Archbishop's palace. Enter the Archbishop of York and Sir Michael.
Sir Michael, bear this seal of brief with winged haste to the Lord Marshal, this to my cousin Scroop, and all the rest to whom they are directed. If you knew how much they do import, you would make haste.
My good lord, I guess their tenor.
Like enough you do. Tomorrow, good Sir Michael, is a day wherein the fortune of 10,000 men must bide the touch. For, sir, at Shrewsbury, as I am truly given to understand, the king with mighty and quick ways of power meets with Lord Harry. And I fear, Sir Michael, what with the sickness of Northumberland, his power was in the first proportion, and what with Owen Glendower's absence thence, who with them was a weighted sinew too, and comes not in, or ruled by prophecies, I fear the power of Percy is too weak to wage an instant trial with the king.
Why, my good lord, you need not fear. There is Douglas and Lord Mortimer.
No, Mortimer is not there.
But there is more, Dame Vernon, Lord Harry, Percy, and there is my Lord of Worcester, and the head of gallant warriors, noble gentlemen.
And so there is. But yet the king hath drawn the special head of all the land together. The Prince of Wales, Lord John of Lancaster, the noble Westmoreland and warlike Blunt, and many more co-rivals and dear men of estimation and command in arms.
Doubt not, my lord. They shall we be well opposed.
I hope no less. Yet needful 'tis to fear, and to prevent the worst, Sir Michael's speed. For if Lord Percy thrive not, ere the king dismisses power he means to visit us, for he hath heard of our confederacy, it is but wisdom to make strong against him. Therefore make haste. I must go right again to other friends, and so farewell, Sir Michael.
Exit all. Act 5. Scene 1. King Henry IV's camp near Shrewsbury. Enter King Henry, Prince Henry, Lord John of Lancaster, Earl of Westmoreland, Sir Walter Blunt, and Falstaff.
Bloodily the sun begins to peer above yon bulky hill. The day looks pale at his distemperature.
southern wind doth display the trumpet to his purposes, and by his hollow whistling in the leaves foretells a tempest and a blustering day.
Then with the losers let it sympathize, for nothing can seem foul to those that win.
The trumpet sounds. Enter Worcester and Vernon.
How now, my lord of Worcester? 'Tis not well that you and I should meet upon such terms as now we meet. You have deceived our trust and made us doff our easy robes of peace to crush our old limbs in ungentle steel. This is not well, my lord, this is not well. What say you to it? Will you again unknit this churlish knot of all abhorred war, and move in that obedient orb again, where you did give a fair and natural light, and be no more an exhaled meteor, prodigy of fear, and a portent of broached mischief to the unborn times?
Hear me, my liege. For mine own part, I could be well content to entertain the lag end of my life with quiet hours, for I do protest I have not sought the day of this dislike.
You have not sought it? How comes it this?
Rebellion lay in his way, and he found it.
Peace, Jewett. Peace, Jewett. Peace.
Be pleased, your majesty, to turn your looks of favor from myself and all our house, and yet I must remember you, my lord. We were the first and dearest of your friends. For you, my staff of office, did I break in Richard's time, and posted day and night to meet you on the way and kiss your hand when you were in place and in account. Nothing so strong and fortunate as I was myself, my brother and his son that brought you home and boldly did outdare the dangers of that time. You swore to us, and you did swear that oath at Doncaster, that you did nothing purpose against the state, nor claim no further than your new fallen right. The seat of God, Dukedom of Lancaster, to this we swore our aid. But in short space, it rained down fortune, showering on your head, and such a flood of greatness fell on you. And what with our help, what with the absent king, what with the injuries of a wanton time, the seeming sufferances that you had borne, and the contrarious winds that held the king so long in his unlucky Irish wars, that all in England did repute him dead, and from this swarm of fair advantages, you took occasion to be quickly moved, to gripe the general sway into your hand, forget your oath to us at Doncaster, and being fed by us, you used us so as that ungentle hull, the cuckoo's bird, use us, the sparrow, did impress our nest, grew by our feeding to so great a bulk that even our love durst not come near your sight. For fear of swallowing, but with a nimble wing, we were enforced for safety's sake to fly out of sight and raise this present head, whereby we stand opposed by such means as you yourself have forged against yourself by unkind usage, dangerous countenance, and violation of all faith and trust, sworn to us in your younger enterprise.
These things indeed you have articulate, proclaimed at market crosses, read in churches, to face the garment of rebellion with some fine color that may please the eye of fickle changelings and poor discontents, which gape and rub the elbow at the news of hurly-burly innovation. And never yet did insurrection want such watercolors to paint his cause, nor moody beggars starving for a time of pell-mell havoc and confusion.
In both your armies there is many a soul shall pay fully for this encounter, if once they join in trial. Tell your nephew, the Prince of Wales, join with all the world in praise of Henry Percy. By my hopes, this present enterprise set off his head. I do not think a braver gentleman, more active, valiant, or valiant young, or more valiant young, more daring or more bold, is now alive to grace our latter age with noble deeds. For my part, and I speak it to my shame, I have a truant been to chivalry, and so I hear he doth account me too. Yet this before my father's majesty, I am content he shall take the odds of his great name and estimation, and will, to save blood on either side, try fortune with him in a single fight.
And Prince of Wales, so dare we venture thee, albeit considerations infinite do make against it. No, good Worcester, no. We love our people well, even those we love that are misled upon your cousin's part. And will they make the offer of our grace, both he and they and you? Yea, every man shall be my friend again, and I'll be his. So tell your cousin, and bring me word what he will do. But if he will not yield, rebuke and dread correction wait on us, and they shall do their office. So be gone. We will not now be troubled with reply. We offer fair, take it advisedly.
Exit Worcester and Vernon.
It will not be accepted on my life that the Douglas and the Hotspur both together are confident against the world in arms.
Hence, therefore, every leader to his charge, for on their answer will we set on them, and God befriend us as our cause is just.
Exit all but Prince Henry and Falstaff. Hal, if thou see me do down in battle and bestride me so, is a point of friendship.
It would take a colossus. Nothing but a colossus can do thee that friendship. Say thy prayers and farewell.
I would 'twere bedtime, Hal, and all be well.
Why, thou owest God a death.
Exit Prince Henry. 'Tis not due yet. I would be loath to pay him before his day. What need I be so forward with him that calls not on me? Well, 'tis no matter. Honor pricks me on. Hey, but how if honor pricks me off when I come on? How then? Can honor set to a leg? No. Or an arm? No. Honor hath no skill in surgery then. No. What is honor? A word. What is in that word, honor? What is that honor? Air. A trim reckoning. Who hath it? He that died a Wednesday, doth he feel it? No. Doth he hear it? No. 'Tis insensible then. Yeah, to the dead. But will it not live with the living? No. Why? Detraction will not suffer it. Therefore, I will have none of it. Honor is a mere scutcheon, and so ends my catechism. Act 5, Scene 2, the rebel camp. Enter Worcester and Vernon.
My nephew must not know, Sir Richard, the liberal and kind offer of the king.
For that he did.
We are all undone. It is not possible. It cannot be. The king should keep his word in loving us. He will suspect us still and find a time to punish this offense and other faults. Suspicion all our lives shall be stuck full of eyes. For treason is but trusted like the fox, who, ne'er so tame, so cherished, and so locked up, will have a wild trick of his ancestors. Look how we can, or sad or merrily, interpretation will misquote our words, and we shall be like oxen in a stall, and the better cherished still the nearer death. My nephew's trespass may be well forgot. It hath the excuse of youth and heat of blood, and an adopted name of privilege, a harebrained Hotspur governed by a spleen. All his offenses live upon my head, and on his father's. We did train him on, and his corruption being taken from us, we as the spring of all shall pay for all. Therefore, good cousin, let not Harry know in any case the offer of the king.
Deliver what you will. I'll say to so.
Enter Hotspur and Douglas. Enter Hotspur and Douglas.
There's a line from Vernon. Oh, never mind. My uncle has returned. Deliver up, my lord of Westmoreland. Uncle, what news?
The king will bid you battle presently.
Defy him by the Lord of Westmoreland.
Lord Douglas, go you and tell him so.
Very shall and very willingly.
Exit.
There is no seeming mercy in the king.
Did you beg any? God forbid.
I told him gently of our grievances, of his oath breaking, which he mended thus by now forswearing that he's forswore. He calls us rebels, traitors, and will scourge with haughty arms this hateful name in us.
We enter the Earl of Douglas.
Arm, gentlemen, to arms, for I have thrown a brave defiance in King Henry's teeth. In Westmoreland that was engaged and did bear it, which cannot choose but bring him quickly on.
Well, step forth before the king, and nephew challenged you to single fight.
With the coral lay upon our heads, and that no man might draw short breath today, but I and Harry Monmouth. Tell me, how showed his tasking? Seemed it in contempt?
Vernon. Where's Vernon?
No, by my soul, I never in my life did hear a challenge urged more modestly, unless a brother dare to gentle exercise in proof of harm. He gave you all the duties of a man, trimmed up your praises with a princely tongue, spoke your deservings like a chronicle, making you even better than his praise by still his praise and praise value with, and which became him like a prince indeed. He made a blushing citadel of himself, and chid his truant youth with such a grace as he mastered there a double spirit of teaching and of learning instantly. There did he pause, but let me tell the world, if he outlived the envy of this day, England did never owe so sweet a hope so much misconstrued in his wantonness.
Cousin, I think thou art enamoured of his follies. Never did I hear of any prince so wild a liberty, but be he as he will, yet once ere night I will embrace him with a soldier's arm, that he shall shrink under my courtesy. Arm with speed, and fellows, soldiers, friends, better consider what you have to do, than I that have not well the gift of tongue can lift your blood up with persuasion.
And our messenger.
My lord.
My lord, here are letters for you.
I cannot read them now. gentlemen, the time of life is short. To spend that shortness basely were too long. If life did ride upon the dial's point, still ending at the arrival of an hour. And if we live to tread on kings. If die, brave death when princes die with us. Now, for our consciences, the arms are fair, when the intent of bearing them is just.
Enter another messenger.
My lord, prepare.
prepare. The king comes on pace.
I thank him that he cuts me from my tale, for I profess not talking. Only this, let each man do his best. Here I draw a sword whose temper I intend to stain with the best blood that I can meet withal in the adventure of this perilous day. Now, Esperance, Percy, and set on. Sound all the lofty instruments of war, and by that music let us all embrace. For heaven to earth, some of us never shall a second time do such a courtesy.
The trumpets sound. They embrace and exit. Act 5, Scene 3, the plain between the camps. King Henry enters with his power, alarum to the battle. Then enter Douglas and Sir Walter Blunt.
What is thy name that in the battle thus thou crossest me? What honor dost thou seek upon my head? Know then my name is Douglas, and I do hold thee in the battle thus, because some tell me that thou art a king. They tell thee true? The Lord of Stafford, dear today, have brought thy likeness for instance, for instead of thee, King Harry. This sword hath under him.
I'll read from Blunt. Go ahead.
Okay, so shall it thee, unless thou yield as thy prisoner.
I was not born a yielder, thou proud Scot, and thou shalt find a king that will revenge Lord Stafford's death.
They fight. Douglas kills Sir Walter Blunt. Enter Hotspur.
Oh, Douglas, hadst thou fought at Holmedon thus, I never had triumphed upon a Scot.
All's done, all's won. Here breathless lies the king.
Where?
Here.
This Douglas? No, I know that face full well. A gallant knight he was, his name was Blunt, semblably furnished like the king himself.
A fool go, with thy soul whither it goes. A borrowed title hast thou brought to dear. Why dost thou tell me that thou wert a king?
The king hath many marching in his coats.
Now, by my sword, I will kill all his coats. I'll murder all his wardrobe piece by piece until I move the king.
Up and away, our soldiers stand full fairly for the day.
Exit all. Alarm. Enter Falstaff Solus. Oh, though I could escape shot free at London, I fear the shot here. Here's no scoring but upon the pate. Whoa, soft! Who are you, Sir Walter Blunt? There's honor for you. Here's no vanity. I'm as hot as molten lead and as heavy too. God keep lead out of me. I need no more weight than mine own bowels. I have led my ragamuffins where they are peppered. There's not 3 of my 150 left alive, and they are for the town's end to beg during life. But who comes here?
Why standest thou here idle here? Lend me thy sword. There is many a nobleman lies stark and stiff under the hooves of vaunting enemies, whose deaths are yet unrevenged. I prithee, lend me thy sword.
Hell, I prithee thee, give me leave to breathe a while. Turk Gregory never did such deeds in arms as I have done today. I paid Percy. I have made him sure.
He is indeed, and living to kill thee. I prithee, lend me thy sword.
Nay, before God, hell, if Percy be alive, thou getst not my sword, but take my pistol, if thou wilt.
Give it to me. What is in this case?
Hell, tis hot, tis hot. There's that will sack a city.
What? It is a time to jest and dally now.
Well, if Percy be alive, I'll pierce him. If he do come in my way, so if he do not, if I come in his, willing let him make a carbonado of me. I like not such grinning honor as Sir Walter hath. Give me life which I can save. So, if not, honor comes unlooked for, and there's an end. Act 5, Scene 4, another part of the field. Alarm, excursions, enter Prince Henry, Lord John of Lancaster, and Earl of Westmoreland.
I prithee, Harry, withdraw thyself. Thou bleeds too much. Lord John of Lancaster, go you with him.
Not I, my lord, unless I did bleed too.
I beseech your majesty, make out, lest your retirement do amaze your friends.
I will do so. My lord of Westmoreland, lead him to his tent.
Come, my lord, I'll lead you to your tent.
You lead me to my tent. I do not need your help. God forbid a shallow scratch shall drive the Prince of Wales from such a field as this, where stained nobility lies trodden on, and rebels, arms, triumph, and massacres.
Lancaster.
Wait too long. Come, cousin Westmoreland. Our duty this way lies. For God's sake, come.
Exit Lancaster and Westmoreland.
My God, did you see this to me, Lancaster? I did not know thee, Lord, of such a spirit. Before I loved thee as a brother, John, now I respect thee as my soul.
I saw him hold Lord Percy at the point with lustier maintenance than I did look for of such an ungrown warrior.
Yes, that boy lends metal to us all.
Exit. Enter Douglas.
Another king, they grow like Hydra's head. I am the Douglas, fatal to all those that wear those colors on them. What art thou that counterfeits the person of a king?
The king himself, who, Douglas, grieves at heart. So many of his shadows hast thou met, and not the very king. I have 2 boys. Seek Percy and thyself about the field. But seeing thou fall'st on me so luckily, I will assay thee, and defend thyself.
I feel thou art another counterfeit, and yet in faith thou bearest thee like a king. But my I am sure thou art, whoever thou be, and thus I win thee.
They fight. King Henry being in danger. Prince Henry enters.
Hold up thy head, vile Scotter. Art thou like never to hold it up again? I, the spirits of valiant Shirley Stafford and Blunt are in my arms. It is the Prince of Wales that threatens thee, that never promised, but he means to pay.
They fight. Douglas flees.
Surely, my lord, how fares your grace? Sir Nicholas Gauzy hath for succor sent. So hath Clifton. I'll to Clifton straight.
Stay and breathe a while. Thou hast redeemed thy lost opinion, and showed thou mayst some tender of my life in this fair rescue thou hast brought to me.
Oh God, did they do me too much injury that ever said I hearkened for their death. If it were true, I might have left alone the insulting hand of Douglas over you, which would have been as speedy in your end as all the poisonous potions in the world, and saved the treacherous labor of your son.
Make up to Clifton. I'll to Sir Nicholas Gauzy.
Exit. Enter Hotspur. Hotspur.
If I mistake you not, thou art Harry Monmouth.
Never mind.
Thou sayest as if I would deny my name.
My name is Harry Percy.
Well, then I see a valiant rebel of the name. I am the Prince of Wales, and think not, Percy, thou to share with me in glory any more. Two stars keep not their motion in one sphere, nor can one England brook a double reign of Henry, Percy, and the Prince of Wales.
Nor shall it, Harry, for the hour is come to end the one of us. And would to God thy name in arms were now as great as mine.
It shall be great. I'll make it greater ere I part from thee, and all the budding honors on thy crest I'll crop and make a garland for my head.
I can no longer brook thy vanities.
They fight. Enter Falstaff. Well said, Hal. To it, Hal. Nay, you shall find no boys' play here, I can tell you. Re-enter Douglas. He fights with Falstaff, who falls down as if he were dead, and exit Douglas. Hotspur is wounded and falls.
Oh, Harry, thou hast robbed me of my youth. I better brook the loss of brittle life than those proud titles thou hast won of me. They wound my thoughts worse than thy sword, my flesh. But thoughts, the slaves of life, and life, time's fool, and time that takes survey of all the world, must have a stop. Oh, I could prophesy, but that the earthy and cold hand of death lies on my tongue. No, Percy, thou art dust and food.
He dies.
Worms. Brave Percy. Farewell, great heart. Miswoven, loyal, ill-weaven ambition. And now, how much thou art shrunk. But when this body did contain a spirit, a kingdom for it was too small a bound. But now 2 paces of the vilest earth is room enough. This earth that bears thee dead, bared not alive such a stout gentleman. Thou wert sensible in thy courtesy. I should not make so dear a show of zeal. But let thy favors, my favors, hide thy mangled face. And even in thy behalf, I'll thank myself for doing these fair rites of tenderness. Adieu, and take my praises with thee to heaven. Thy ignominy lie with thee in thy grave, and not remembered in thy epitaph.
He spies Falstaff on the ground.
Old acquaintance, could not so much flesh keep in a little life? Poor Jack, farewell. I could have better spared a better man, and I should have a heavy miss of thee if I were so in love with vanity. Death hath not struck so fat a deer today, though many a deer in this bloody fray. Embalmed I will see thee by and by. Till then, in blood, thy noble Percy lie.
Exit Prince Henry. Well, if thou embowel me today, I'll give you leave to powder me and eat me too tomorrow. It's blood. 'Twas time to counterfeit. That hot termanganate Scot had paid me Scot and a lot too. Counterfeit? I am no counterfeit. To die is to be a counterfeit, for he is but the counterfeit of a man who hath not the life of a man. But the counterfeit dying, when a man thereby liveth, is to be no counterfeit, but the true and perfect image of life indeed. The better part of valor is discretion, in the which better part I've saved my life. Zounds, I am afraid of this gunpowder Percy, though he be dead. How if he should counterfeit too and rise? By my faith, I am afraid he would prove the better counterfeit. Therefore, I'll make him sure, yea, and I'll swear I killed him. Well, why may not he rise as well as I? Nothing confutes me but mine eyes, and nobody sees me. Therefore, sirrah, with a new wound in your thigh, come you along with me. Re-enter Prince Henry and Lord John of Lancaster.
Come, brother John, full bravely thou hast flashed thy maiden sword.
Stop! Who have we here? Did you not tell me this fat man was dead?
I did. I saw him dead, breathless and breathing on the ground. Art thou alive, or is this a fantasy that plagues about our eyes? I prithee speak, we will not believe our eyes without our ears. Thou art not what thou seemest.
No, that's certain. I am not a double man. But if I be not Jack Falstaff, then I am a Jack. There is Percy. If your father will do me any honor, so. If not, let him kill the next Percy himself. I look to be either Earl or Duke, I can assure you.
Why, Percy, I killed myself, and so you did.
Didst thou? Lord, how this world is given to lying. I grant you, I was down and out of breath, and so was he. But we rose both in an instant and fought a long hour by Shrewsbury clock, if I may be believed so. If not, let them that should reward valor bear the sin upon their own heads. I'll take it upon my death. I gave him this wound in the thigh. If the man were alive and would deny it, zounds, I would make him eat a piece of my sword.
This is the strangest tale ever I heard.
This is the strangest fellow, brother John. Come, bring your baggage nobly on your back. For my part, if a lie may do thee grace, I'll gild it with the happiest terms I have.
A retreat is sounded.
Trumpet sounds retreat. The day is ours. Come, brother. Let us to the highest in the field to see which friends are living, who are dead.
Exit Prince Henry and Lancaster. I'll follow as they say. The reward. He that rewards me, God reward him. If I do grow great, I'll grow less. For I'll purge and leave sack and live cleanly as a nobleman should do. Act 5, Scene 5, another part of the field. The trumpets sound. Enter King Henry IV, Prince Henry, Lord John Lancaster, Earl of Westmoreland, and Worcester and Vernon, prisoners.
Us ever did rebellion find rebuke. Ill-spirited Worcester, did we not send grace, pardon, and terms of love to all of you? And wouldst thou turn our offers contrary, misuse the tenor of thy kinsman's trust? 3 knights upon our party slain today, the noble earl and many a creature else had been alive this hour, if, like a Christian, thou hast truly borne betwixt our armies true intelligence.
What I have done, my safety urged me to, and I embrace this fortune patiently, since not to be avoided, it falls on me.
Bear Worcester to the death, and Vernon too. Other offenders we will pause upon.
Exit Worcester and Vernon, guarded.
How goes the field?
Noble Scott, Sir Douglas, the noble Scott, Lord Douglas, when he saw the fortune of the day turn quite turned from him, the noble Percy slain and all his men upon the foot of fear, fled with the rest. Then, falling from a hill, he was so bruised that the pursuers took him. At my tent, the Douglas is, and I beseech you, my grace, I may dispose of him.
With all my heart.
Then, Brother John of Lancaster, to you this honorable bounty shall belong. Go to the Douglas and deliver him, ransomless and free. His valor is shown upon our crests today. Thou taught us how to cherish such high honors, even in the bosom of our adversaries.
I thank your grace for this high courtesy, which I shall give away immediately.
Then this remains, that we divide our power. You, son John, and my cousin Westmoreland, towards York shall bend you with your dearest speed, to meet Northumberland and the prelate Scroop, who, as we hear, are busily in arms. Myself and you, son Harry, will towards Wales to fight with Glendower and the Earl of March. Rebellion in this land shall lose his sway, meeting the check of such another day. And since this business so fair is done, let us not leave till all our own be won.
Exit all. End of play.
Yay! Yay! Ah, sounds great.